All right, welcome back from the break. We just finished up with our first game, and now it's on to our second. We have Goo Goo Dolls versus Trap Queens. Now, this is should be actually a very interesting match because there's some pretty big names in the scene on Goo Goo Dolls. And welcome back, Loafs Links. This is your welcome second match of the night, but here we go. You can see right here. Look at the names on here, especially on the
Yeah.
side of Goo Goo Dolls.
I mean, even then, you also got some names on the side of Trap Queens as well. Tara, Lisa, big names in the community. But yeah, as you said, on the side of Google Dolls, Burb, Marmalade, Goddess, and then Demetrius and Moshizo as well. Let's not take any credit away from them, but
Hmm.
Marmalade. If you don't know Marmalade, she's on the main SH roster in CL, the one that used to be Supernova, now picked up by SH. One of the highest rated players in all of Challenger League. Goddess as well used to play for the Sonics, and Burb has been around the scene for a long time. So there's some big names on both teams, but in terms of T2, T1 play, even there are some massive names on Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the side of Trap Kings, you say we do have Lissa, Terra, Alexis K, Calvarix, an old and familiar name from those back in the collegiate scene. Daddy Satan to round out that roster as well. Big names on both of these teams for the female Siege community. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this matchup. To be completely honest, this is probably I'm my hype for this match is right up there with the disrupt match to start things out up against Homeland. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this match. I think we're definitely going to see an interesting match here between these two teams.
Do you think, with kind of the hype that's behind Goo Goo Dolls, that this is going to be kind of a one-sided match that Marmalade and Goddess will just kind of walk on over, or we should see a overtime, 15 rounds, three maps, the whole yard?
I
It,
I think we're
yeah.
gonna fall somewhere in between. I don't think this is gonna be just an absolute trounce by one or the other team. I think we're going to see, at the very least, I think we're going to see full regulation from these teams. If I'm completely honest, just knowing what I've seen from these teams in the past and these players individually, I don't know how they perform as teams. This is one of the first times we're really seeing them play together. Um, so I can't really speak to how they're going to play as teams, but individually, I mean, Goddess and Marmalade are two very big names and have really proven themselves in the scene, especially at very high levels. Goddess up in T1 with a stint in Pro League, as well as Marmalade now, who's had a very successful stint in Challenger League in the North American League so far. So while I feel like there is a lot more hype towards Goo Goo Dolls, I definitely don't want to diminish the success of Trap Queens so far during their qualifying run as well. It seems they had a pretty solid qualifying run to get up here as well. So again, I don't think it's going to be absolutely drawn out 15 rounds each map. We're going to see three maps. I do think that we're going to at least see regulation. I would like to see three maps, but I don't know. I can't say for sure whether or not we're going to see it.
Yes. Speaking of maps, we can pull that on up over here. We can actually, we've got some favorites coming in here. We do not have the same old, as we have Villa banned out already. And look at that. Chalet, we get some new goodness with the old busted.
And then Oregon.
And then Oregon. But hey,
Oh, how
Chalet,
quickly the
Oregon
tables turn.
consulate, Oregon thrown in there. It's comp. I mean, when are you not going to see Oregon thrown into a comp match? I mean, be
Hon-
be be
Honestly,
com-
I'll
be
take it.
completely honest with me, Carter. When have you not seen Oregon thrown into a best of three lineup in a comp match?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you are correct.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we're talking about sheer numbers here, you're always like, oh, we see Oregon so often. Oh, we see Clubhouse, Cafe Villa so often. That is 4 of the 7 maps in the pool. That's already a majority of the map. So
Yeah.
you do put the complaining a little bit in perspective. But Chalet, Consulate as well. But Chalet, to start things off, a
Yeah.
map that we still don't see a lot from many teams because while it's not as new as it once was, it's had a bit more time to settle in the pool. Still not a map that people take all too often because it's a little bit more uncomfortable than certain maps. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We're gonna see a very similar style of game and maps in 1 or 2. Chalet and Oregon can often be linear, but definitely more so Oregon than Chalet.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I'm for purely non-analytical reasons. I just like seeing Chalet because it's new. It
Mm-hmm.
the flashy thing in front of my eyes, flashy new shiny thing. It makes me happy, and I like looking at it. So I'm just gonna be fully transparent with you on that one.
All right, well, you chase the new shiny coin. I will see you at the end of the match, and hopefully it's a good one.
I will be transfixed on it the entire time.
All
I
right,
promise for you.
well,
I will not look away.
all right, we'll see you guys.
So yeah, Shelly, first up. First map between GUGUDOLLS and Trap Queens. At least in theory, this is a map that not in as much a vein as say Coastline or Consulate, but can often rely on, I would say, so much individual play. It really depends. It's very utility heavy early on, very structured early on, but it's usually only about one layer deep. The moment you break through that layer, one big position is you put a deployable shield on top of blue stairs. The moment you break through that, and it can often rely on gunfights and winning those gunfights. On the side of GUGUDOLLS, Marmalade, Goddess, there are some big names on this roster that have found success against T1, T2 players in PL and CL currently. So I don't know. This could go either way, at least right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it could go either way, and I gotta be honest, I'm kind of the same way with you. Haven't seen a lot of Chalet play, and again, it's new, it's shiny. I do want to see it played. I am excited for it. I think it's going to be one of the more interesting maps starting out here because it's so new. Because there hasn't been as much time to develop strategies for it to really push things. Push things to the limit in terms of constructing strategies for it in terms of something like Oregon or even Consulate that has been in the map pool for years at this point. It really is just a very new map, especially with the rework that I'm interested to see where things are going to go and how these op bans are going to go. I think because it's a new map, I think we're going to see some pretty standard stuff.
We'll start things off with the Jackal ban. Saw one earlier, so maybe standard for today at the very least. But coming out, would expect some kind of Thatcher Hardbreach ban. Yep, there you go. Thatcher ban coming out again, as you said, not all that surprising. But where I am most intrigued are the Defender bans, because this is where you can really bring the hurt. A lot of the times on the defense, we see a lot of strats revolve around deployable shields. Say one top of blue, one deployable shield on top of piano as well, if you're defending more on the western side of the map. And Mira as well can be a big operator that can aid the defense in extending around the site, upstairs mainly. So taking Mira down, that's imperative. And a really strong ban for Trap Queens to make their attacking half a little bit easier. Will GUGUDOLLS continue the trend, or they focus on another area? It's a little bit of a mix. You take down the bulletproof gadget Maestro, but you also deny some intel that could have been really useful on extending up to the side, but also playing on the side as well. So overall, I think the attacking bans still favor the attacking team a little bit, but this certainly isn't going to inhibit or isn't going to revolutionize the way we see Chalet defenses play out. I imagine we'll still see them play out in a fairly similar way to how they usually do.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting too. I don't expect anything too crazy, but I do think it's at the very least going to be interesting. Seeing the Mira and Maestro banned out. I mean, you mentioned as well how these still feel like very standard bans. They're operators that have utility in just about every single opportunity. Jackal, I'm interested seeing a little bit of an uptick in ban rate.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I'm also interested to see kind of what the thought process is behind that. I would love to kind of talk with the players afterwards to figure out just like why the Jackal ban? Why was that something you felt like you had to get rid of when you have the potential to also get a hard breach off the board, say Maverick or an Ace, just to get off the board, and instead you've chosen the Jackal. Yes, he does have some versatility, but I don't know. It's just an interesting question. I feel like I have,
especially considering you do leave so much hard breaching in the hands of the hands of the attacking team. Maverick, Hibana, effectively able to bypass that Thatcher ban, albeit a little bit more slowly and requiring a little bit more effort overall than say a Thatcher just tossing an EMP grenade over. So could bite them in the long run, but a Jackal would also do well in taking out those players roaming up top. And I was going to say it will certainly hurt Trap Queens not being able to find players like Marmalade roaming around, who's going to likely be a player that's getting aggressive. GUGUDOLLS are also on the ban Jackal, so only Trap Queens will know for now, I suppose. 20 seconds in, nothing all that crazy so far. Gaining intel on the players up site, finding as the site is on the second floor, there are players extending over towards reading or library, as there always are. Marmalade on the Jaeger, sitting behind Pillar on the top of main stairs at the moment. Somebody will already move into Library. I thought there might be somebody playing back there to aid her, but no, Marmalade is playing by herself. Daddy Satan right into that, took her down, and landed the opening duel for Trap Queens.
Yeah,
Attackers have located a bomb.
already things going away at Trap Queens, and also taking out one of the players we highlighted as well. Marmalade being a very highly rated player in CL was, I gotta be honest, one of the players I was really expecting to shine. Her being taken out so early is definitely a good sign for Trap Queens here. And there is Demetrios going to be the next one taken out there. Daddy Satan now with a double kill, make that almost a triple kill as Burb will run in and be taken out by Sara there. Unfortunately, a 4v2 now for GUGUDOLLS, who have lost a big portion of their roster here. Got us here. C4 ripped, looking for a way to throw it, but will not find one just yet.
An incredibly effective roam clear by Trap Queens, an incredibly effective utility from Goddess, taking out Terra. She'll suffer a little bit of damage on the rotate back into sight, but great play overall. Managing to land that C4, rotating back, not giving yourself up to a kill, and now Moshizo was able to land one, which she will. It's now a 2v2, and much, much more winnable for GUGUDOLLS now than it was before. Goddess is rotated back up. All the presence of the defenders is now on the side, ready to repel the attacking team. Lisa will open a hole in the wall, or open a hole in the wall behind that half wall, likely trying to move in and get the bomb down behind that very half wall. But if they're not anticipating Goddess rotating into Piano, this could be difficult coverage for Sura. ZP coming out, she sees the feed, might be able to land the pre-fire, the tap's coming out, and yes, the Hibana down. It's now all left up to the Zero to make this work. 35 seconds left, a lot of time, but not a lot of HP, and Moshizo will exploit that fact. GUGUDOLLS 3v5 early on, quickly turned to a 2v2, and then transition to a round win for the first round on Chalet.
Yep, and just like that, GUGUDOLLS came back from a very big deficit as well. I mean, going down 4-2 so early on, I felt like that was a sure win for Trap Queens there, and they were able to bring it back. I mean, Moshizo, a name I'm really not familiar with, able to pull out some pretty incredible plays throughout that round.
Goddess and Moshizo, especially in that 2v4, lot to be commended for the play they did there. Goddess down below, Moshizo able to slowly creep her way up back into Piano, up through bedroom. That was incredibly well played by GUGUDOLLS on their defenses, but now they're opting to go down to the first floor. This is a site that you don't see all too often. It is not at all favored for just one of the many reasons is you have a wall directly leading from the outside into the bomb site. The moment they get that wall open, it can often be hard to retake that site once the attackers try to go in for a plant, especially because with the vertical destruction you can pull out. It's difficult for the defense to do, but GUGUDOLLS, they're like, you know what? We're not going. We're not going bar. We're not going trophy. We're going straight down to basement. That is a risk. If it pays off, that might be a little bit demoralizing for Trap Queens, and it could be a pretty big gamble if GUGUDOLLS are trying to go for all 4 sites, but this is a pretty big risk with the history of how this round plays out. They really have to rely on executing their strat to perfection and not making any missteps.
Already here, the Maverick ban, the Maverick being unbanned is going to go ahead and work in the favor of Terry here. She's going to go ahead and start getting this Maverick trick underway. At the top of this wall opened up, they're going to try and get some intel, but that mute jammer is going to dissuade them rather forcefully, as they're going to go ahead and get the wall opened up, the hard breach off, and be looking for any runouts, and that's Daddy Satan. That is the wall opened up within the first minute here. Trap Queens doing really good, solid work here. As now they've also got some presence here inside the garage, and they've got pretty solid map control here with not even a minute gone.
Yeah, this is often the problem with basement. It is very easy to cover that map control if nobody's roaming outside the site, and then it's pretty easy to transition that into an execute because of how close everything is. Terra lands the opening pick onto Goddess. W maybe playing close to that basement wall will find a nade at her feet, and Sade will add on for 2. Demetrios falls, and there's multiple players. There's 2 players knocking on the northern side of the site and 3 players knocking on the southern side of the site for Trap Queens. Now that it's in a 3v5, GUGUDOLLS are extremely strapped for man count and space, really, to work this and try to bring it back. And in all honesty, it's going to come down to either a gunfights or these two C4s in the pocket of Marmalade and Moshizo to do the work and try and bring this back. Minute 20 seconds left. It appears they might know that somebody's behind that Goyo shield. At the very least, they know that there's a shield there, so Alexis K won't push it as aggressively, anticipating that there might be someone behind there. One thing I would like to note, Moshizo does not have nearly the same room to work with as she did last time. Before, she was able to work her way up back into the site and use what little room was not had by the attacking team to manage to get a kill. Now she's dead, so she can't even do that, but the room is not nearly the same on basement. It will rely on a full retake by Marmalade and Burb, a lot of which will start the work. Daddy Satan taken down, but Marmalade's the only one on the site. One pushes in, the head falls down on the floor. One pushes in behind her, and now Marm's the only one left. Expert play on the Goyo shield. Burns and downs Lisa. Knows one is coming down blue. Spots the head mid, reload, but the clip gets loaded into the gun. Takes down Marmalade and Trap Queens, even at 1-1.
That was a very, very nice play by Marmalade there, but Trap Queens not getting caught out last time by the... They caught out last time by the retake, not caught out once again, this time able to take down Burb, and then Marmalade once again. And like that, they've tied it up 1-1. And this is still too early for me to call. GUGUDOLLS are giving up a lot in the early round, and I feel like relying more on individual performance in the late round to bring it back. Almost did, but unfortunately, because they're relying on individual performance, it's a 1v2, it's a 2v2. They got it down to a 2v2, but it ended up being a 1v2 there at the very end, where even if everything goes your way, one tiny slip up can mean the end of the round for you. So I guess more of what I'm looking for here from GUGUDOLLS is keeping the is starting out with the man advantage and keeping it later into the round.
Looks like the method by which they're trying to do that is bringing the aggression more to the forefront of their strat as opposed to letting the site play do a lot of the work. I think that's the smart play overall. Can be a bit risky, leaving less people on the site because of how hard it is to hold it, but if you're trying to get the opening pick, put Marm on Vigil, aided by Burb on the Valkyrie using those black eyes. If they're able to come away with that opening duel, it certainly would go a long way to making this site much more palatable, and Marmalade is certainly trying to get that opening pick. Opened up the bedroom window, taking a long angle, made even longer by her not just peeking the window, but sitting on that box a bit further back. Unfortunately for her, there's nobody there. Or there was somebody there, but they just walked down and didn't give her the stuff up to that angle. But that will not stop Marmalade, I imagine, from playing all the way upstairs. And honestly, not dying on a spawn peak is just as good as getting a kill on a spawn peak sometimes, or at the very least, not getting countered.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Already Burb is just I'm sorry.
Alright. Unlucky.
Completely in the sight picture. No inhuman reactions from Burb-chan there. As Sawyer, as we know her, Calvrix, able to just completely put her in the dirt.
That's part of your aggression outside the site gone. Still have Goddess and Marmalade, but quickly those two players offside are now becoming the only players left in the lobby as Alexis K picked up one. It's a 3v5. That Cade taken down. You're in a position where Goddess and Marmalade have to rotate back to site as once again Trap Queens are knocking at the door and they're not looking like they want to wait. That was the oddest engagement I've seen in quite a while, but Marmalade comes away the victor and not at much cost to her HP either. She even sees Syrah through the floor.
No.
The floor opened up. The bar is giving away the Zero's position and Marmalade has diffuser, but she also has an attacker looking directly at her, almost lands the shots, but only does 25 HP worth of damage to the sledge. Manages to recover the diffuser. That's given Goddess and Demetrios not only enough time to rotate back to the site, but to set things up, hold their angles, talk with the rest of their team, and play the final minute out to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think they're worried about right here is Alexis K. They know where these other two players are. They know that Terra and Daddy Satan are sitting here on the wall. They're more worried about where is Alexis K coming from. She was last spotted over by Garage. Is she going to rotate back over to the wall here, make this a three-man push? Or are we going to see her go for the split push here, make a single push here into Wine, and let the other two push the wall? It looks like they're going to go for a three-man push, however, but I'm not sure that GUGUDOLLS are quite aware of that yet. They are going to rotate over and wait for this push in here. 35 seconds left. Not a whole lot of time here for Trap Queens to work with,
Attackers have dropped the bomb
but
Attackers
they are
recover
going
the
to try and go for it. Terra is in the site. He's going to go ahead and get this first kill here. Try and get this plant down, and there's Daddy Satan to close it out there for Trap Queens. Once again, GUGUDOLLS leaving it very, very late into the round, left up to individual performance for anything to really go their way. They're losing too many people too early in the round, giving Trap Queens too much to work with. And if they aren't able to slow this down, Trap Queens are just going to keep running away with rounds.
And I think Garage was a gamble that, I mean, obviously didn't end up paying off for GUGUDOLLS, but one that maybe could have been avoided after that first round. I said this earlier in the Sinister Sakuna game. I always appreciate it when teams try to give sites multiple tries in a row and not just play site roulette. But even then, especially a side like Basement, when you have at the very least one stronger side, but maybe even two stronger sides to your disposal, it was a bit risky. But we saw GUGUDOLLS succumb to many of the failings of that bomb site, and that it's really easy for the attacker to set up crossfires and work you out of your positions, especially once they have the man advantage. But GUGUDOLLS will move to bedroom and office. This is a site that is one of, if not the strongest defensive site on the map. You have the deployable shield, you have those reinforcements over by half wall and on the top of heaven to stave that off, with a Cade on the board as well that could be extremely powerful even though you have a Maverick. And GUGUDOLLS did end up winning this, but it came after they already had the man disadvantage, and it required a 2v4 clutch from Goddess and Moshizo in order for it to pan out. They have adjusted their lineup a little bit. It's a little bit more heavy. I don't even know if I would say it's a little bit more heavy on the roam. I think it definitely allows for a little bit more aggression throughout the round with the Mozzie and the Valkyrie and the Intel. But overall, this has not looked the best for GUGUDOLLS' defenses so far, even despite that round win, and even the site being one of the better ones.
Absolutely. I think, again, I feel like if GUGUDOLLS can take the early man advantage here, if they can keep more bodies up, the later the round gets, I think they'll be able to win. I really think that is all they need to do, but just time and time again, it doesn't seem like they're able to do it. There's Goddess and Birdchan, though, able to go ahead and start things in the right direction here, making it a 5v3 for them. Goddess the only one taking damage in those pair of engagements there.
So far, if the gunfights haven't been going your way, C4 down below from Burb, excellent way to start things off. But Goddess, as you said, coming away with that. And you've lost your Hibana and your Zero, two players who not only have potential impact... Oh, not your Hibana, sorry.
Yeah.
Zofia.
Lissa's still up on the board.
I saw the massive Hibana icon, and my brain just immediately made a neurological jump that was not correct. The Zero and the Zofia, who still can be powerful not only in watching the flank with those Zero cams, but also in entering and utility for, say, destroying a deployable shield on Piano. You still have some utility, 4 frag grenades mainly, but a Wamai as well to cut through. Even then, Burb on the roam. You might not be able to burn those magnets if you have not read into Burb flanking you from library stairs, and they did not. She peeks around, takes down the Maverick, who already began work on that wall. It might just be too late, not only for the Maverick, but for Trap Queen's chances in this round, as it's a 2v5, and until Alexis K got that kill, not much recourse before that.
And once again, as I said, the later they were able to keep more bodies on the board, the better they would do, but Alexis K is very quickly undoing that man advantage here, as she has now gotten 2 kills in a row. Keep things in the right direction here for Trap Queens, as now the man advantage has gone from 3 to 1 very, very quickly. Flash comes out from Lissa there into office. Not going to connect with anyone just yet. Another flash coming out, going to get caught by the magnet there. Final flash comes out, not caught by anything, will go ahead and flash out. I believe that is Demetrios sitting around the corner there. As through the wall, Alexis K taken down by Marmalade, making it now a 1v3. Marmalade very quickly traded back out by Lissa, but Moshizo back through the holes in the wall, and that is GUGUDOLLS taking their second round now. Even 2-2 split, finally able to keep some more bodies up later into the round. And there you have it. Finally able to pull out another round.
Managing to get those 2 kills early on, instrumental for their chances overall, as it still got brought down to a 1v2. A lot of that was due to the play by Alexis K at that main door, not only finding one, but flicking all the way to the left and finding the second playing behind Pillar. Great work by the Sledge to bring that back in that round, but still great play by GUGUDOLLS early on. The joint play of Goddess and Burb on the road to put it in that 3v5 that ended up that man count being what saved them early on. And he even got us coming away with that gunfight despite being how low HP she was. There's a few moments there where you're like, if that goes even a little bit differently, Goo Dolls might not come away with
Defenders,
that, but
protect your bombs
it
from being
did. And
defused
while
by
close, they
attackers.
still managed to come away with it. And thankfully, they won't go down to garage. They'll try a different bomb site. It's Bar Gaming. For them to stake their 5th defensive round so far. It's been hit or miss overall. Tried one site, lost it twice. Tried another site, lost it twice, and now finally going to the 3rd site. And if they win it, could very well secure themselves a 3-3 half.
Yeah,
Attackers have
absolutely
discovered
they
the
could.
location of a bomb.
Biggest thing for Trap Queens is if they can get that early aggression without losing too many bodies.
10 seconds to go.
I mean, kind of the same thing with GUGUDOLLS is the longer Trap Queens are able to, I mean, if they're able to cut down GUGUDOLLS early, I mean, it doesn't matter who they take down. If they're able to get themselves a solid man advantage, they seem to do really well. They have a lot more time to work with. It really kind of, it seems to fluster GUGUDOLLS a lot. And while they're still able to net some kills and get it close, it feels like it's a lot harder for them to be coordinated with just a couple people there on the board. And there's Daddy Satan able to start things off in the right directions for Trap Queens, as that is Marmalade, who has died now every single round, unfortunately, down and out within the first 30 seconds of this match.
If it runs on batteries, I see it.
Just going to talk about how Trap Queens seem to be experts on the roam clear if they're given the chance to do so, but if you give yourself up to gunfights like that, or just you peak aggressively early on, they also, Trap Queens seem pretty adept at just countering that, not succumbing to any sort of spawn peaks. For GUGUDOLLS, that kind of play is either gone completely unnoticed or slapped down by the side of Trap Queens. And at this point, GUGUDOLLS are clearly on the back foot for their defense. Not just in terms of the man advantage, but I'm talking broad storyline and broad strokes overall. Terrell droning into Pillar will spot Goddess playing on the cap can behind Pillar. We saw Marmalade playing this very same position in round number 1, and it was Daddy Satan to deal her down. It's Daddy Satan to deal with it again. Finds Goddess, a 2K for her so far. There's still a fair bit of utility that Trap Queens have to deal with. A Rooney Gates and a C4 as well that unfortunately only does about 60 HP worth of damage to 2 members. Still a lot, nothing to be sad about, but neither come away with a kill. But now a lot of members in Trap Queens on low HP. I mean, what didn't start out well for GUGUDOLLS, but they just have to land a couple shots on 3-4 members of Trap Queens and then they'll fall.
Mm-hmm. Being this low, even with the man advantage, is going to definitely take a toll on you, but there's Alexis K showing it doesn't even matter if she has 1 HP. She's still going to try and make things work. Now it's just Demetrios and Moshizo here left in the 5v2. Now, as you said, 1 shot, so it will only take a little to take them out. And there's Demetrios getting her first kill there on the board, able to take down Alexis K, who has been pretty impactful in the late round here. Daddy Satan kind of playing back and forth here with Moshizo. Moshizo going to come away with it, though. And now it is a 3v2, a lot more doable. Make that a 2v2, as Moshizo is able to take down the diffuser as well as Lissa. And now this is looking a lot more doable for GUGUDOLLS here.
She's also retaking the top floor, and CCP's coming out intel going the way of the defense, but not the gunfights at the very least. What Moshizo had, Terra now undo, but Moshizo's there to bring it back, all on her own. With diffuser in her grasp, they'll be attacker right around the corner. Round looking a little bit risky. Zera drop back down. She'll recover the diffuser at the very least, but on low HP, Moshizo just has to bide her time, has to wait for the IQ to go and try and plant the bomb, and this will go in her favor. 1 second left. Sarah's got to try to put it down, and now Moshizo's got to know where she's planting. She'll look to her right. Will spot the IQ. I'm not going to lie to you. That was incredibly close. I thought that was going to be a Trap Queen's victory, but great work by Moshizo, and overall, every remaining member on the defense to pepper the attacking team and doing enough effort later on where Moshizo had a much easier time clutching that situation and landing that 4K than it could have been without their efforts. So even though they died, even though a lot of them didn't get kills, they still had an impact and still had a say in how that round got won.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think GUGUDOLLS have a very solid chance to come away with a 4-2 half here. Trap Queens really have to try and pull things back. Now, they've lost I believe, 2 rounds in a row. If they're able to get that early aggression that has worked out for them so well, and it's worked out for them so well, except for that very last round. is they were
Your bombs from being defused
they
by
were taken to
attackers.
such low HP that, I mean, even just a passing shot from any of the defenders would have taken them down, and that's what we saw in most cases. Is just one or two bullets was all it took. If they're able to get that early aggression without losing too much HP, then I think it's possible for them to pull out another round and come away with a 3-3 half. Now, GUGUDOLLS seem to be gaining their footing after a little bit of a shaky start, and they seem to be playing a lot better than they have in the past. If they continue
10 seconds to go.
and they're able to clutch things out as they have
5
and
seconds
not
left.
give themselves up too early to trap queens, they can very easily
Attackers
come
are
away with a
moving to
4-2 half
defuse the
here.
bomb.
Laser gate in position.
Not just not giving themselves up, but just staving off that early aggression, that roam clear from Trap Queens is key to GUGUDOLLS' victory. We saw some success in it on their second attempt of Office, though a lot of it didn't even come from winning gunfights. Came from that C4 on Bourbon, got us narrowly coming away with that gunfight, sure. But Marmalade here, this could be the tale on whether or not GUGUDOLLS win this round or lose it. At the very least, she comes away. She tries to take the gunfight, but rotates back off. Another defender tries to take the angle. Believe that's Burb on the Valkyrie. She, too, also gives it up. The longer Marmalade is able to stay in this position and just waste time and cause uncertainty in the attacking team, this is good for GUGUDOLLS overall, and it looks like Marmalade and the rest of the defense has learned some of their lessons. Sure, there's still intel on her, and she might very well find herself falling to Alexis K's L885, and that is what will happen. Opening pick going in favor of Trap Queens in the first minute. And you wasted a time, you wasted a minute, but overall, how much will it do to stop Trap Queens in the long run?
It'll be difficult without some kills going the way of GUGUDOLLS, and there's going to be the first one coming out there. Burbchan able to take down Alexis K, who has been pretty instrumental in these takes here from Trap Queens so far. The other pretty instrumental member actually taken down to just below 75 HP here, Daddy Satan. If they're able to take her out as well, and then if they're able to take down Terra, I think that's going to be the two players that are going to be the big plays for them if they can get rid of them. Is taking out Terra, who is a fantastic Maverick and has been very, very difficult for GUGUDOLLS to do anything to stop. And if they take down Daddy Satan, who has been able to effortlessly take down members of GUGUDOLLS without even breaking a sweat, then I feel like GUGUDOLLS will be going in the right direction. Now, Burbchan sitting up here, I think they are at the very least aware of the presence upstairs, but I don't know if they're trying to do anything to get rid of it there. There's Daddy Satan able to get a kill there onto Demetrios as well, bringing the man advantage back in favor of Trap Queens. You got Sora and Alyssa as well getting ones in their favor, and now it's just Moshizo left alone in a 1v4. Trap Queens look to have secured themselves the 3-3 half, but Moshizo is sitting up with 7 kills here. I still feel like it's still entirely in the cards for her to potentially come out with this, but if Trap Queens play this well, she may only come away with 1 or 2 here. Make that 1 at the very least. Actually, no. Make that 0, as Terra will be there to react very quickly, and that is Trap Queens coming away with an even half on their attack.
Overall, I'd say just to wrap a bow on that first half, that was a really good showing by Trap Queens overall on their attacking rounds, specifically the ones that they won. In the rounds they won, even in the rounds they lost, their early round play was great. It was just fantastic over on their side. Clearing out the roam, or at the very least pushing them back. Sure, they had a couple missteps, and honestly, it was in the rounds where they had those missteps that they ended up losing. It was solid overall, and I think something really commendable. But GUGUDOLLS, depending on how this map plays, of course, we had incredibly defender-sided Oregon today. Perhaps we'll have I guess a bit more even, but not as attacker-sided of a Chalet today. If
Defenders
how should I phrase this? It's twofold. If GUGUDOLLS are able to bring out the same roam clear, I think we could see just the same success on their attack. But if Trap Queens are able to transition that aggression early on, that efficient aggression, I should say, they had early on in their attack, and move that to their defense as well, I think we're looking at potentially a Trap Queens victory on their map pick. This is definitely their game to lose right now.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So I think I concur with you in saying that if they can translate that early round aggression from the attack here onto the defense, then I think that's going to bring them success. It's just a matter of Will they be able to do that? It's a little bit more difficult with early round aggression here on defense as compared to attack. I mean, the attack is a little bit more of an advantage because a lot of the early round aggression has to come from either spawn peaks or runouts, which runouts are very difficult to pull off now, as there is almost no delay from runout to being spotted on the map, and spawn peaks are pretty commonly looked for nowadays.
Neither of that play coming on the first 30 seconds, so GUGUDOLLS can at the very least rest knowing that they're not going to lose any of their players early on to that kind of play. In fact, they'll, in almost a mirror image of round number 1, they'll make their way quickly into the same spot that Trap Queens made their way into in round number 1, staking their claim on Library. And there's a Jaeger playing behind pillars. It's almost like deja vu watching the way everyone is playing right now. Now, of course, the deja vu breaks as the opening kill is not the Jaeger. In fact, it's the defense to get the opening pick onto the Nomad of Burb. Now that you've lost that flank watch and those air jabs as well, you got to be much more conscious about watching your back, and those drones have a much higher focus and much higher value placed on them. Their survival could very well dictate whether or not you catch somebody watching or you get flanked by Alexis K, who appears to be on a bit of a heater right now.
Yeah, no, she absolutely is. I mean, despite the fact that maybe her kill count wasn't as high as some others, she's been very consistent and able to get some very impactful frags time and time again. There's Soira as well, able to go ahead and take down Moshizo, and it's now a 5v3. Again, early round man advantage, very much in favor of Trap Queens here.
Minute 20 seconds left. Daddy Satan still holding on to Pillar, albeit with 1 HP, holding on for dear life and by a hair, but still holding on nonetheless. GUGUDOLLS in the man disadvantage. Marmalade will just spot the head of the Jaeger, but not able to land the shots, as Daddy Satan knows that she's probably going to die here, but at this point, just the longer she sits in this position, it helps her team more and more and more. And on top of that, she has Sura playing close by on top of Library Series, able to land her refrag depending on where the kill comes from. This is looking like a strong and likely a Trap Queen's victory if this trend and this pace continues. The pace, of course, being GUGUDOLLS not making all that much progress in the late round. They'll finally dislodge Daddy Satan from that position at the cost of a frag grenade, but still dislodge her nonetheless. Goddess finds her second onto Alexis K. That was the player on Piano, and if you're trying to make headway into sight, that was a big player to take down. But now you've had Cyril rotate down. She does not have a C4 from below, but you still have 2 on the site ready to fly out into that hallway where everyone on GUGUDOLLS is gathering. It lands in front of Goddess. Marmalade not able to shoot it in time. She knows there's somebody behind that wall. She'll get the kill even at 2-2, but only 10 seconds left. They'll have to barrel on through that wall. Marmalade will have to be impeccable on the coverage, and she falls before the plant even goes down. 2 seconds left. Demetrios knows this round is lost. She'll try to get the bomb down for the stats, but it's 0-0. The defenders rush over, take her head off, and Trap Queens, they move up 4-3.
Yeah, they're looking very strong going into this half. I'm not surprised, given, I mean, an even attacking half, and every single time they won, it looked so very close. And the times the GUGUDOLLS were able to win, most of them, they were coming back from the absolute brink. And as much as I feel like there's a very serious amount of raw talent on the side of GUGUDOLLS, they're losing it early on in the round. They don't give it, there is not enough time for it really to shine as much as it needs to. I'm not sure. I'm personally not sure what GUGUDOLLS need to do to really start
Protect
winning.
your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Definitely the big problem there was the early round, not able to find that opening momentum. It just seemed like they started pushing Library, and Library was where they sat either in or outside of it the entire round. They were never really able to find that much onto Daddy Satan, only finally taking her down, I believe, at a minute left. It definitely seemed to be stalling out, and not just stalling out, but also actively being stopped and forced to stay inside of Library by everyone on Trap Queens, because they were eager to get in their face and they were winning their gunfights, something that it seems they've been able to do pretty effectively overall today without much cost to themselves. Now Trap Queens, they're moving to bar gaming, similar defensive style to Office, just shift around positions a bit, replace and take down a couple names. But this is on GUGUDOLLS. If they're not able to fix some of those mistakes in the early round here, they don't even have to win it outright. But if they at the very least are looking like they're starting on the pathway to making adjustments, this is not at all gone. But if Trap Queens are able to take this round and keep them on one side of the map for as long as they did last time, this is going to be a tough hill to climb for GUGUDOLLS.
Absolutely, it will be. Already, looks like they're trying to get some good, solid entry here into the map, all the way over inside of Trophy, which I'm interested to see how they're going to go about this.
Moment. Just got 3 members of GUGUDOLLS all sitting on the side of the map. Seen this one before inside a library, though Marmalade will rotate back down, moving inside a basement. It's all quiet. Nothing all that crazy going on at the moment. Ping's coming out, some intel as well, but it's everyone on the defense holding their positions, and GUGUDOLLS slowly gathering intel onto where they're playing. They'll spot Daddy Satan playing a similar position as to last time, sitting behind pillars, and at the very least, they haven't met any aggression. Minute 30's gone, and nobody on the side of GUGUDOLLS has lost any HP, so if you're going off previous history, this will be good for them and better for their chances, but right as I say that, one of the shoe drops. Now let's see if the other one drops soon after.
Now, already starting off with a death from Oshizo is not the right way to go here for GUGUDOLLS. Daddy Satan going to take a little bit of damage here. But I don't think her position is really known. They're just going to really just taking shots, trying to get that angle open there. I think they're at least aware that there is someone there, but not going to be enough to really do anything. There's Sawyer as well, able to take down Marmalade. Make that way 5v3. Still very much in favor of Trap Queens here. They still have a lot of defenders they have to root out if they really want to get this going the right way. And there's Alexis K putting it even further in the favor of Trap Queens there. C4 sails up, takes down Demetrios. That is your Thermite down as well. Daddy Satan will go ahead and pop one of those Goyo shields that was keeping her so well protected there. Goddess taking shots through the wall, trying to find the kill there. There's Terra getting the kill there finally. And there will be one down at the top of the stairs there. Terra, unfortunately, not going to be coming away with that scathe-free. But now it's all up to Burbchan here in a 1v5, and I'm not sure she's aware of the position of all these defenders, but there's one taken down, as it won't be a flawless round for Trap Queens, but it'll come very close there. So they end up with a 4-man advantage going into the final gunfight, and they're looking very, very good now. 5-3, 1 round away from match point.
1 round away from a flawless cycle as well. A lot of things riding on this 9th round. Flawless cycle, match point, and a big defensive half for Trap Queens so far. A defensive half that GUGUDOLLS haven't seemed to have the answer for. The attacking team had plenty of time to get set in their positions, but at the same time, just as the attacking team was given a minute and a half to fully drone things out and get in their positions, the defense was given enough time to either maneuver around what little they could glean from what the attacking team was doing, but also get firmly set in their positions. Daddy Say never really moved from pillars that entire time until she finally died and was one of the only members to die on the side of Trap Queens. Lexus K as well on the Valkyrie, able to maneuver around the map, land that opening pick. In that round, GUGUDOLLS had a lot of time to set up, when it finally came down to pushing the defenders out of their positions, they faltered once again. It was a similar conclusion from round number 7, just at a later time in round number 8. Now going to here, this is a map that not a map. This is a site that heavily relies on removing the defenders from above the site because the extension is directly above. All that self-destruction you want to get from Goddess on the sledge, above kitchen and dining respectively, and inside of office and master bedroom respectively, you need to clear out these 2 or 3 players, but likely 2 players on the roam. And if you can't even do that, this is just looking like Trap Queen's game, and we're just waiting to see the conclusion come about.
Yeah, I mean, we really are. Again, it just seems like the early round is just not going in favor of GUGUDOLLS. They just aren't able to get their foot in the door as they need to, but it looks like here we're going to see a 5-person rush here. All the way. They're all going to go up main stairs. They're just all going to push up main stairs. It's already not going to work out in their favor. Sora's going to go ahead and take down Goddess. She'll back off. Unfortunately, Burbchan going to go ahead and take her down. Demetrius unfortunately going to team kill Moshizo as Lissa finds one, finds two there. And just like that, it's all failed. It's all up to Marmalade here in the 4v1. Make that a 3v1. She's able to take down Terra at the very least, get things... Pat her stats a little bit there, bring her back down to even.
Oh, wow. Nice shot from Marmalade, taking that down.
Great
Also
shot
take
from
down
her.
Lissa. Put her on the floor. Now we're to 1v2. Marmalade on 50 HP, minute 45 left to work with. Problem is, Diffuser not in her possession, dropped at the top of main stairs. It appears that GUGUDOLLS' plan on that rush was, hey, let's send 5 people up West Main, and that'll probably work out. It did not work out, unfortunately. But of all the straights to be at, bringing it back to this, not terrible. Not all that bad. Though unfortunately for Marmalade, the Melusi will signal her position over inside a Fireplace Hall. Destroying the Barbed as well will signal that there's somebody over there, and since there's only one person left on the defense, Trap Queens have a pretty good idea where Marmalade is staking out her final stand. She'll get on her drone. Remember, still has a minute left. Plenty of time to try to find this intel, and she'll smoke Daddy or Daddy Satan on the angle. Now, Alexis doesn't have a C4. She has peppered Marmalade and now put her to 1 HP, and this is going to be difficult for Marmalade to pull off and a bit too out of her reach, unfortunately. I started to believe for a second that even despite the low health, she could manage to flick onto the Melusi and pull it out, but even then, it's
a difficult play to pull off.
It's a difficult play to pull off. It should be one that the Melusi should clean up pretty easily, and now Trap Queens have secured a flawless cycle on top of that match point.
Yeah, they are one round away from 7-3 in GUGUDOLLS, who were I took a look at the chat prediction, and they were very much a favorite. I believe the last percentage I saw was something like 77% to 23. And Trap Queens are showing everyone up right now. They're showing that, hey, doesn't matter if GUGUDOLLS have some big names on their side. Doesn't matter at all, and that they are just going to show up and show out here on Chalet.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
I mean, I'll be fully transparent. I also thought GUGUDOLLS were the favorite. I mean, I've seen Loaf and I cast CL. We've seen Marmalade play. We've also watched esports for quite a long time. We've seen Goddess play. We've watched amateur scene for a long time. We've seen Burb play. And Demetrios and Moshizo so far. Moshizo seems to be doing incredibly well in the frag department, and Demetrios has been doing her job as a support. But Trap Queens overall have played much more together, and GUGUDOLLS, now, GUGUDOLLS are not a set team. This is just kind of a stack of players wanting to play together, so maybe it's symptomatic of that. The fact that Trap Queens, again, they are an actual team. But Trap Queens don't have nearly the same level of holes in their overall setup on both attack and defense that GUGUDOLLS are showing. And that rush also being a good example. We've seen similar play like that worked out, at least in recent history. Often, if you're going to rush a site like Trophy, you'll send it up those stairs. But beyond that, the moment one person died, 3 players were just sitting on the stairs, just kind of like waiting to see what would happen next, hoping they could land the refrag that never ended up coming. Now Trap Queens, all they got to do is win 1 defensive round, and since they've won 3 so far without much fight from GUGUDOLLS, I just don't see a world, to use a phrase from earlier, where they don't pick up at least 1.
Yeah. And right now you can kind of see that they're just trying to take anything they can get at this point, as Goddess has brought out the fuse. And is just throwing cluster charges wherever she can get them at this point. Just trying to pick up any kills they can get to try and get this early round advantage that I've talked about. I sound like a broken record at this point, but honestly, I mean, it's because it's such a crucial point. The early round is exactly what defines this entire match for these teams. If Trap Queens are able to get the early kills, doesn't matter which side they're on. If they get the early kills, they win the round. I mean, there's only been a singular exception to that. And every time GUGUDOLLS have been able to actually fight back against them and get some early advantage, they've been able to win. Again, with the exception of 1 round where they were down and they were able to come back up, but every other time, Trap Queens have gotten the advantage and have been able to push it through.
Now that aggression is coming out in spades, what could potentially be the final round. 2 members on GUGUDOLLS falls, the Nomad and the Yana respectively, and the only person to take damage is Lissa, who only just took that damage, albeit a hell of a lot of it, only on about 1 HP right now. 1 or 2 bullets will be the end of her, but it's still GUGUDOLLS strongly on the back foot, and Trap Queen's firmly in the driver's seat. Moshizo moving up, Solarium Stairs will take a little bit of damage, knows somebody's bathroom, and will spot Alexis K just standing in the middle of the doorway. Bit of a misplay by the Valkyrie, but still the man advantage, but it also means Terra might have gone unread in this position, but she doesn't shoot back in time. Her head taken off. Goddess picks up a 3rd for the team overall. Now GUGUDOLLS, whereas they were strongly on the back foot, they've now kicked Trap Queens out of the vehicle. They've taken the wheel, but they only have 30 seconds left, and 2 of their members on low HP. Well, they have Diffuser. 1 will spot the head of the Goyo. That is huge for them. And now Lissa, the first person to take damage on Trap Queens, is the last one alive and the last one in the building for the defense. Only 1 HP. Z-Ping's coming out. They know someone is Solarium, but she's not anticipating the second to come up the stairs, and that's exactly the person who forces Lissa to meet her fate. GUGUDOLLS have picked up their first round on this half. That is excellent. That is what we need to see at this point. But now they just have to pick up 2 more, and it's still looking difficult overall.
It is definitely a long road back for GUGUDOLLS if they really want to come back. And I mean, 1 single slip up, and that's it. And that's just it. 1 single slip up, that's it. Birdchan even saying, "Can you please not nitro me? I'm tired of dying."
I would agree. Not having a chance to shoot back is not the most fun thing to deal with.
Definitely one of the more unfun things.
I'd be on my knees, be like, please, I'll do anything.
Anyways,
protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
6-4. Trap Queens looked like they were going to take that last round, and GUGUDOLLS really came. I mean, they came back, and they really showed up that they showed that they can come back if need be. They just haven't been able to do it.
Well, at the very least, it's now the GUGUDOLLS have managed to get that round win. We'll see if they're able to transition off that. Still some good points overall, being able to play it very well in that mid to late round. If they're able to shore up their problems early on, I think it's still possible they could win back those first 2 rounds, but this will be the test case, because if they lose this, well, Trap Queens have now won their map pick. But if GUGUDOLLS managed to win this, I think we could very well see it going to overtime. We borrowed Gaming start out for the final site. Pretty similar op lineup overall. I don't think, in fact, there's really much changes, at least in terms of the operators brought. We still see a lot of the main players. Alexis K on that Valkyrie, who was popping off on the first half, but has really started feeling herself on the second round especially in that early round, getting those opening picks. A lot of the problem with GUGUDOLLS has been falling to Alexis K, whether by guns or utility. If GUGUDOLLS were able to get the opening pick, I think they'll be able to transition into that mid and late round where they have excelled pretty effectively. It's just a question of, will Trap Queens allow them to get that momentum?
Now already just trying to clear out as much of this map as they can, try and get as much control as they can before pushing down onto the site here. Sora looks to be going to get the first kill there, as Goddess will be the first one to fall. That is the Twitch down and out here in the first minute. And that is really unfortunate to see that. I mean, already man advantage going in favor early on to Trap Queens. They continue this trend as they have time and time again. Unfortunately, it may look like, it looks like it may start going their way. With, again, that the last round was also an exception. I talked about how, hey, Trap Queens, all they need is the early man advantage, and that's all they need, except for 1 round, and then GUGUDOLLS just proved me wrong once again. But they're not going to let Trap Queens have the man advantage for too long at all. Daddy Satan is going to fall very quickly afterwards. I'm going to put this down to an even 4-4.
C4 toss and a C4 missed by Alexis K. Could have found any number of people, Burb, Marmalade, whoever found themselves, unfortunately, all just outside the radius of that hole. Specifically, Marmalade just standing a couple inches too far to the right for Alexis K's liking. But only a minute left. The fact that Trap Queens still hold on to top of blue stairs is crucial. Look at all these magnets burning it out. A flash grenade will get burned, and a nade soars on in, but it does not destroy the deployable shield. That is huge, and what is equally as big is Moshizo's Gambit on Library Stairs has fallen flat on its face. Marmalade also falls flat on her back, jumped straight into a frost mat, and it's looking like Trap Queens are on the cusp of taking their map pick 7-4. Of course, it's not over yet. Demetrios and Burb in a 2v4. Though Burb might very well find herself the only one left if Demetrios faces even one bullet or takes even one bullet left. Burb, despite the low time, will try to get Marmalade back up, and instead of 2 members of GUGUDOLLS on low HP, now there's 3 members on 1 HP. Burb gets lit up from top of Library Stairs, and in 7 seconds, they try to scramble with whatever kind of execute they can manage. One falls, Tara picks up the second. Demetrios will try to find one, she'll land it, but it's still Alexis K to find the final kill on the Thermite. Trap Queens, they take their map pick 7-4, as if we're looking for an upside, GUGUDOLLS can at least go to their territory next.
Yeah, I mean, and that felt very, despite the even half starting out, I have to admit, Trap Queens really kind of ran away with that. They really and truly did. I mean, we've got 2 players sitting at the top with double-digit kills. Alexis K as well. I talked about her early on, 14-3. Or 14-7 with 3 assists. That scoreboard being flipped up now is kind of tripping me up a little bit. But
it's kind of weird.
I mean, still, that is still nothing to really throw to the wayside. I mean, she did absolutely incredible and was a crucial part of Trap Queen's strategy during that match.
Also, just kind of nice. You like to see the symmetry sometimes. I believe she got 7 kills on the first half and 7 kills in the second half. So you'd love to see that level of consistency. But there was a lot of great plays by GUGUDOLLS overall. Didn't expect it to mainly come on the defense, but there were quite a few good moments. That Moshizo pushing up alongside Goddess, clutching that 2v4. Fortunately, had those 2 attempts on Garage, but even despite that, they still managed to end their defensive half 3-3. Once we get to these replays, you can start to see where the problems show. That ill-thought-out rush on blue stairs, and Trap Queens countering whatever GUGUDOLLS had at every which way, every turn, every strategy. GUGUDOLLS tried to brain out. Trap Queens were there with an opening pick, whether it be by a gun, a C4, or whatever you have it, and they looked clinical on Chalet. And of course, it is their map pick. Now we are going to GUGUDOLLS map pick up next. This should be the place where they win it out. I mean, Loaf, you still feeling it? This is their territory after all.
I gotta be honest with how dominant the Trap Queens played that out during that last map. Given, yes, it was their territory. It was their map pick. I still feel like there's a lot GUGUDOLLS have to do to really show me that they can take this next map. Yes, I mean, I do think the raw talent is there. I've stood by that statement from the very beginning. I think the raw talent is there on GUGUDOLLS. The early round has been so crucial between these 2 teams. I mean, it is time and time again, whoever gets the early round is able to take it all the way through, except for a couple of minor exceptions. So I'm just unsure. I'm unsure. I think it could go either way. I mean, I think GUGUDOLLS could have a resurgence in their territory, but I also feel like Trap Queens could just continue this momentum going into map number 2.
Well, we saw earlier what happens on map 2 of Oregon. At the very least, in that Sinister Sakuna game, the person who won map 1 ended up winning map 2 and sealing out the series 2-0. And now it is incumbent on GUGUDOLLS to break that trend, not to face the 2-0 on Oregon in order for them to come back. This is their map pick. Much less complex map, actually. There's a better way of phrasing that. But as we mentioned earlier, we've mentioned multiple times, this is a map that is much more well played overall. And even if, say, you're a pug stack, I don't exactly know GUGUDOLLS scrim habits. Well, I know they could be scrimming as much as an actual team. Yeah. And if so, on a map like Oregon, this is an incredibly well practiced map. This is a map that they should, I would say, know inside and out, but they should know to a pretty decent effect. And you also have players in this roster who should know it as well. Goddess, sure, she's not in pro play anymore, but she's still heavily involved in the scene and heavily still plays the game regularly. Incredibly talented player. Marmalade as well. She's on SH, a roster that made it to CL playoffs. Again, a team that is well versed on Oregon. And on top of that, really everyone on the side of GUGUDOLLS plays this game regularly, and this should be a good equalizer between the two teams. So while it is GUGUDOLLS territory, and I spent 30 seconds hyping them up in their chances, Trap Queens likely have a lot of the same factors going into this with how often Oregon is played both in comp and in the scene in general. So I don't know. I feel like this can go either way. I'm not as comfortable as GUGUDOLLS as I want, but I'm willing to still give them the edge just out of hope for the individual skill and the experience on the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is going to do it for map number 1. We're going to go to a short break here as we get ready for map number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. If you missed map number 1, it was a 7-4 victory on Trap Queen's map pick for Trap Queens. Again, the people who picked that map. And now we're moving to Oregon. GUGUDOLLS pick to see if this series ends 2-0 like the first one, or if we might have map 3 in the cards in a repeat of the first play day where we had a 2-0 and a 2-1. So we'll see if we repeat history or if it's 2-2-0s for the night. I am Lynx, still joined by Loaf, and we're not the most confident in GUGUDOLLS right now. We're not counting them out by any stretch of the imagination, but Trap Queens have just looked so good.
They really have. And I think to the contrary of everyone's expectations here. I mean, I looked at the chat. There were a lot of people that lost a lot of channel points during those last predictions. But I mean, honestly, I mean, GUGUDOLLS, I mean, came in being the favorites, but Trap Queens have just showed up consistently as well. That is the thing, is GUGUDOLLS, I mean, they've looked good at times, but Trap Queens just consistently showed up. They have consistently shown that, you know, we can get this early round, we can get the kills going where they need to be, and I just haven't seen that from GUGUDOLLS so far. Is yes, they can get it sometimes, but not enough to convince me that they can keep doing it. But we are moving to their territory now. We're moving to Oregon as our map number 2. So this may be the change they need, getting into a map they need. We might be able to go to map 3 now if they're able to really start showing up again here. But before we get into that, we'll have to take a look at the op bans here and see how they're going to start things out for this map.
Wasn't all that crazy on Chalet, so I wouldn't expect anything crazy on Oregon either. And yeah, starting up the Thatcher ban.
Pretty
I
basic.
Can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Pretty basic starting us out. But I expect the same. I mean, very standard op bans. That's pretty much exactly what I expect to see here. I don't expect to see anything crazy. I'm really just expecting, you know, standard stuff. Maverick following it up. Exactly what I'm expecting here.
Yeah. Thatcher, Harbreach ban, especially Maverick taken off the board. Now, we did see an abnormality earlier in the Sinister Sakuna game where we did not see Cade taken off the board in turn, though wasn't run all that much. Took Sakuna's defensive half to bring him out, but well, return to normalcy here. Cade taken off the board. Again, without a Thatcher Mav on the board, Cade becomes that much stronger. So removing him out, not necessary, as we saw for the first series, but still something that is highly advisable in all regards. And now for the final one, wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe Omai, Goyo, Maestro, or everyone's favorite operator, Amira. Amira, who's so often banned.
Pretty standard ban phase. I saw nothing out of the ordinary there. This is all very standard for this map. It's very standard for COP in general, and with that, we're going to go ahead and get into round 1.
Big thing we need to see, and it's good that GUGUDOLLS are starting out on the attack, because the big thing we need to see, that the big adjustment is their early round. We mentioned it a lot and hammered it home towards the tail end of map 1 of Chalet, but GUGUDOLLS' big issue was finding ground in their early round attacks on Chalet. And if it was difficult for them on Chalet, it is going to be that much and vastly more on Oregon if Trap Queens are able to utilize some of this map's inherent advantages to their favor. GUGUDOLLS will need to find a lot more room with a lot less room to maneuver than you might see on a map like Chalet. On Oregon, not nearly as much soft destruction. What little you have on a site like Dorms is only from below. You can't really do that much horizontally or vertically unless you want to bring a buck and, say, go for a big window take. You also have to deal with funneling yourselves through attic and master bedroom being the main way to take it if you're not going for a big window push. And Trap Queens are bringing utility out the wazoo. Aruni Gates, Malusi Banshees, Maestro Cams, a deployable shield, and ADSs as well. We'll see if GUGUDOLLS in these first couple rounds have made the improvements necessary, but they'll definitely need to hit the ground running if they want to try and fix those mistakes and stop Trap Queens from getting ahead before it's too late.
5 seconds remaining.
Already here. Yeah, I'm interested to see, because now, I mean, they know how Trap Queens plays. They know that early round aggression is going to be the death of them. I'm interested to see how they're going to counter that, because they have to at this point. They have to be able to counter that, or else it's just going to be the same story but a different time, different place.
Attackers have located a bomb.
See GUGUDOLLS stake their claim and claim their first bit of map control early on, as we often see many attacking teams in Oregon do, starting off on master bedroom. It used to be starting out inside of attic, then rotating over to master bedroom, but recently it's been a bit of the opposite, starting out on the side of master bedroom, then rotating over to attic. Of course, with that Maverick on the board, taking attic is going to be much, much harder. Though, thankfully for them, there's no mute or Mozzie, so you don't have to worry about your Twitch drones getting caught. And for Tara, she might have to worry about losing her life. Already down to 50 HP in the first minute. I believe that came from Goddess on the on the generator repel. Tara getting a little bit too aggressive, and she'll have to cross because those Hibana holes and that impact lifeline below, and she somehow gets away with it. Thought Goddess would have found her on the cross, but likely the timing just not going her way, looking and checking a different angle. And that means it's still a 5v5, and no member lost on the side of Trap Queens, though 2 members on reduced HP.
Yeah, no, definitely a bit of a turn away from the early round aggression that I talked about that was so crucial before. Doing a lot of good work on the side of GUGUDOLLS to make good use of their utility, start opening up avenues into the site so they can get this plant down and cover the post plant as well. The biggest thing now is they've got to try and clear out some of these defenders. The biggest thing I think is going to be the smoke. She can do a lot of damage later on in the round, and there's Soira as well. Actually, the smoke I was just talking about, down by Marmalade from so very far away. And there's Moshizo as well, being made aware of the position of Alexis K, who is very vigilant on that window there. Going to go ahead and take some sprays, and it looks like she was actually aware of that drone there. Sora just going to be downed as well, but Tara taken out. It's going to put the man advantage actually in favor of GUGUDOLLS.
Yeah, the smoke down as well. We are having a bit of clean feed issues right now, so apologies for that. In fact, it's I was about to say it's full frozen. We do see just a little bit. Alexis K down below on bottom white, getting droned out, so they know the Malusi's currently playing down inside this location. And Pierre it is frozen again, so that is unlucky. Unlucky,
unfortunately,
to say the least.
we're gonna take a little bit of a technical pause here. We're gonna switch away from the clean feed while we get everything fixed right here. But yes, so far, looks like GUGUDOLLS were getting the early aggression. They were able to start things off in their favor. And from what I can see, from what we were getting from the clean feed, it looks like Sora was actually picked back up, so it's an even man advantage here. Last thing I'm able to see is Lissa taking down Burbchan. It looks like actually it's caught back up to me now. And it's an even 4-4, make that a 4-3. Moshizo Goddess getting a double kill as well. Actually,
I'm
it
watching
looks
the
like
Lego movie,
GUGUDOLLS.
so I can't help.
Yeah, GUGUDOLLS are probably going to come away with this round unless Lissa pulls out something incredible here.
Yeah, and they didn't. So as we did manage to see, GUGUDOLLS came away with the very first round, and they were able to gain a lot of that aggression, and not just early aggression, but transition that into a steamroll of Trap Queen's first defensive round, as didn't look like they had much of a chance. It took a while. It was a bit of a slow burn of an attack, but once they reached the point where they were able to transition into an execute, all remaining 4 members fell on the side of Trap Queens. Of course, didn't get to see much of it, unfortunately. But it's at the very least a good sign that not only were they able to win their first attacking round, but they seemed at the very least to either be on the path to fixing their mistakes or even completed the journey and fixed them. Or for that round at least.
Yeah, and at the very least, I think we see at least the start of, it's their territory. It's the map they chose. They may not have felt nearly as comfortable on Chalet as they do here on Oregon. Oregon, they may practice a lot more. Chalet is not a very commonly picked map. So it's totally understandable if it comes down to the fact that Oregon's just a lot more comfortable for them. They know the map a lot better. They feel just a lot more comfortable on it. I mean, no other way to put it. They may just feel more comfortable on the map than they did in the other place.
We're still waiting on the clean feed to come back. We're having some more technical issues, but if it is an issue of comfortability, then I think GUGUDOLLS, obviously they're going to have a good time on this map, because if you're just more comfortable on a map, I mean, your attacks and defenses are going to come that much more naturally to you than, say, a map like Chalet, which you might not be more comfortable on. But at the same time, with how well-versed of a map this is on both teams, we brought up that point quite heavily before this game, it's not out of their own possibility for Trap Queens yet. It's only 1 round in. A lot of things could change. I mean, Queen, on multiple rounds, managed to make opening plays for her team and managed to bring out a lot of aggression on their defensive half, and then it seemingly vanished on their attacking half in that Sinister Sakuna game. Could very well be a similar thing. We could see GUGUDOLLS get that aggression 3-4 rounds, then all of a sudden start losing it, and it's not transitioned once they move to their defenses. Wasn't 8-6 on Oregon. It was an incredibly close one for map number 2, and of course, too early to decide just yet. We don't exactly know how close this will be, but I'm just glad that it doesn't look all that bad yet. The fact that we're
Hmm.
starting out and it's not a Trap Queen stomp, good in my book.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I do like seeing that. Now, we did see Goo Goo Dolls start out dominant in the first map. Do want to mention that as well. Um, but it at the very least um is a they look a lot better than they did on the first map. I will say that much at least. They do look a lot better. They looked a lot more confident in what we were able to see. They did look a lot more confident there. So at least we are able to get back into the map now. We have fixed our issues here with the RTMP server.
Which is good. As you can see, next side up going to be dorms. Once again, Trap Queen's trying that side a second
Attackers
time.
need to
Like to see it.
locate
Want to
and
see some
defuse as many
adjustments made.
bombs
There
as they
also is
can.
the Valkyrie on the board, operator that's banned quite frequently. Alexis K. Not only was she incredibly proficient with that on Chalet, but more broadly speaking, the fact that they're able to gain that much more intel could be one of the big things Trap Queens needs on this defense to bring it back, as it was Gugudoll, taking that slow burn, but eventually moving into the site. If they have a little bit more intel, maybe Gugudolls are not going to find those kills nearly as easily.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely possible here.
Activating camera.
I don't know. Biggest thing for me is on this map in particular, I think Goo Goo Dolls, they don't have to work as hard to get around the site and get set up for an execute as they did with Chalet. On Chalet, I feel like they had to really dig themselves into the map before they could get an execute going off. And I think that was their biggest downfall on attack, at least, is they had to put themselves in a lot more compromising positions that really, I mean, allowed Trap Queens to take them out early, or they were stuck at early choke points that prevented Goo Goo Dolls from moving in further without having to go through someone on Trap Queens that was very deeply entrenched, whether it was Daddy Satan sitting inside the pillars or Terra sitting on the top of the stairs behind the shield. I mean, various things like that that really slowed them down. Here, they really don't have that. We've mentioned in the past that Oregon is a very linear map. I mean, it's played in very specific ways, and there's not too many different ways to go about that. What that also means is that, yes, you do have those choke points, similarly to how you have them in Chalet, but
Drop the bomb diffuser.
they're very clearly defined choke points, and you can really work around them a lot easier than you can in Chalet,
Attackers
I
recovered
feel.
the bomb diffuser.
See one of those choke points right now, at the very least, becomes the attention of Goddess. Not in terms of pushing on through, but in terms of utility, she'll find one, but the Twitch drone quickly shot out. Not able to find nearly as much utility as she would have liked. Still has a deployable shield looking her way, and a Melusi Banshee as well. Not much she could have done with the Twitch drone there, but hey, at the very least, she knows what she has to deal with, and she's not going to walk in blind. Verbal spots Sura on the flank. This hole opened up on top of Armory Stairs can be a powerful counter to players flanking in through basement, as we often see. Sometimes players will go for a late flank all the way down through the belly and depths of the map to go for play later. Now that Burr was watching, she staved that off. Not staved off Alexis, unfortunately, who's C4 the nomad from below, but that's after Goddess completely knocks down Terra and Daddy Satan, two of the members sitting inside the site. So Gugudolls still in the man advantage. Even more so, now that Goddess has slammed Alexis off the face of the earth, takes a quick peek through the breach, finds the head of the Valkyrie, and now it's on Trap Queens to try to bring this back. On a quad kill for Goddess, but it's Marmalade to finish it out. Hoping we might see the third or fourth ace of CCS there, but no, not in the cards. Marmalade just had to vault in and get the kill. It doesn't matter, because a W is a W. And Gugudolls have answered back. 1-1. Or 2-0, sorry.
Yeah, 2-0. They're definitely looking a lot more dominant than they did on map number 1. Map number 1, it felt back and forth during the first half, and then Trap Queens just ran away with it. This time, Goo Goo Dolls feel very much in the driver's seat. There's not that back and forth. It's not as close as it was during map 1, and it looks pretty potentially that we may see Goo Goo Dolls come out pretty solidly ahead here.
You want to gain all these rounds on the attack as you can, especially on a site like Oregon, especially when you're down in the series 1-0. So the more that Gugudolls can get, the happier not only that they're going to be, but I also think the more and more potential we might see overtime or map number 3. Of course, only 2 rounds in. We won't even get there just yet. As Trap Queens not going to dorms. They've tried that side twice. Has not worked out. For the first time, it was GUGUDOLLS all doing the work. And then the second time, it was GUGUDOLLS still doing a lot of the work evenly. But God is showing up massively in the kill department. 6 and 0 so far. A quad kill for her last time. And moving down to dorms, one thing... Actually, no. I wouldn't even say one thing that will hurt Voodoo Dolls. I was going to say, you know, you are restricted into those choke points again, but GUGUDOLLS were expertly dealt with that last time. What little angles they had, they were able to gain multiple kills from them. Sometimes with all members shooting, sometimes God is just shooting. This is a similar situation, and you even have more to work with. You have, you know, freezer, back tower, and laundry stairs. If you're able to use your utility, you say, oh, they actually don't have any frag grenades, but still use your utility, say your concussions on Zofia, and work your way down into pillars. GUGUDOLLS have already shown that they're capable of dealing with points that are a bit constrictive for attackers. Depends on what will happen, but it's not looking terrible for GUGUDOLLS so far on this site, even though we haven't seen it played yet.
Yeah, no, it absolutely isn't. And I think the biggest thing for me is when attacking the site, if you're able to clear out the player sitting inside of pillars or the player sitting holding down construction, then really gives the attack a lot of leeway from then on. If I see that here from GUGUDOLLS and Trap Queens aren't able to hold down that position for very long, then I feel like this round is going the way. But if they're able to hold on this position for as long as they possibly can, because it looks like they're focusing pretty heavily on this backstairs construction push. If Trap Queens are able to hold on this presence on the map here for a long time, I definitely think that that GUGUDOLLS are going to have a lot more trouble taking the side than the other two.
I'm thinking it'll be a little bit of trouble. Fortunately for the GUGUDOLLS, pushed up, saw that elbow reinforcement was reinforced. However, they do still have that Hibana to open it up. But Hibana is their only hard breacher. Since Maverick has been banned, you do still have the Thermite and the Ace, but they're only bringing that Hibana, and 2 sets of X-Kairos, 2 sets of 6 were used on opening up that wall, and you only have the 6 left to open up other angles. Of course, you can switch to 2 or 4, but I'm wondering what others they'll do, because now they're restricted. Don't have as much to open up hatches or walls, but hey, if they're relying on kills, they can certainly rely on everyone, all 5 attackers, to do the work. Bushizo finds the head of Daddy Satan playing inside of pillars. They're not able to move on down the moment they are able to pin down Terra and not allow her to rotate out inside and retake pillars. No frag grenades, unfortunately, so it's a bit tricky to deal with, but Marmalade sends it on in and finds Sarah, so I imagine Terra's not long for this world, because Alexis K certainly isn't. Marmalade is the king of elbow, or the queen of elbow currently, but it appears that it's not at all that easy. But the moment Terra goes down, this is looking like a GUGUDOLLS round. Lissa's trapped inside a closet. Hell of a lot of pings. She'll find one, takes a lot of shots and whiffs a few of them, but still manages to find Moshizo, but it's only the 1 kill to go the favor of the Maestro that time. GUGUDOLLS are up 3-0. They've won 3 attacking rounds in a row, and Trap Queens have not seemed to find any sense of comfort or success on the bomb site so far.
Yeah, they really seem to be struggling here, and whereas they look so very dominant on defense on Chalet, they are just floundering here. And this is, I mean, this is just showing Oregon is GUGUDOLLS' house. I mean, this is definitely showing they feel so much more comfortable on this map than they have felt anywhere else so far. I mean, I can tell that very, very clearly. And I mean, Trap Queens just don't have a response for it so far.
That aggression we saw early on Trap Queen's defense is not nearly as present on Chalet as it was on Oregon. I mean, that's obvious. Anybody can see that. But it's clear that the moment that's not there for GUGUDOLLS, they haven't even had to counter it all that much. The fact that on Oregon, Trap Queens have not gotten nearly as in the face as they were on Chalet. Not only do GUGUDOLLS not have to deal with it as much, but they've been able to get those opening picks, work down into pillars, take down Daddy Satan. Goddess, able to just take down whatever defender tries to peek her in round number 2. Now going into meeting, where the main focus of this round will be the extension upstairs. This will be the round that Trap Queens are most likely, or have the biggest opportunity, to get in the face of GUGUDOLLS, to try and hammer home and put that aggression at the forefront. We saw Queen playing on the mute earlier, able to do that effectively, swinging out with a shotgun, finding 2 kills. Trap Queens are able to do that and able to repeat some of the success from Chalet. They could very well find their first defensive round on the back of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Drones up and running.
Not much going on right now. Just trying to find some intel inside a big tower.
Bomb has been located.
Do you see some entrants in all sorts of T3, T2, T1. Marmalade peering down, just trying to gain some preliminary intel once they actually push over on that side. I honestly didn't anticipate this heavy of a big tower push right now this early on in the round. I would have expected, you know, 2 people probably, but 4, even potentially 5 members all pushing on this side.
Attackers have located
They might be going
bomb.
for that extension, but at the same time, this is a method that we often see of taking down meeting. You don't have to necessarily deal with that extension if you're able to open up attic wall and just carry and hold down that lane and watch the flank. Could very well work out. But if you just walk down green with no intel, you'll find yourself ripped to shreds by Alyssa's shotgun. Goddess will move in the site and just carry on in her own lane and find her own success, but it's still the man advantage for Trap Queens, though not for long as Moshizo finds Terra up above that hatch. Now a 3v3, all of Alyssa's best efforts undone, but she's still got a lot more effort put into this round. The head of Demetrio falls to the floor, but the heads and bodies of 2 members of Trap Queens fall soon after. Alexis, the only one alive, on 1 HP as well. Not a lot she can do from this position. She has 1 C4 she could toss down to a member of the attacking team as they have to recover Diffuser, but now that they know she's above the
Attackers
hatch,
have recovered their
they can just
diffuser.
rotate back in the kitchen, get the bomb down there, and all Moshizo has to do is watch for this hatch. And if she never rotates down, they know Alexis will come from another position.
Attackers
As Goddess gets the bomb down, we enter a post plant. What is Alexis's plan for going about this? She has a C4, but not a lot of room to use it. She has 2 gunfights to take, but not a lot of health to do it with. And she won't even look the right way. She tried to peek the left side of split, but unfortunately for her, there was 1 on the right side, and that's just what happens. Sometimes you look at a certain angle, you check a certain corner, but it's a 50-50, and unfortunately for her, it was the other 50% today.
Yeah, unfortunately. But already, GUGUDOLLS up 4 rounds on their half so far. And they're on attack, too. What is notoriously one of the more difficult sites to get such a lead on.
Now GUGUDOLLS move up 4 on their attack. This is a daunting prospect for Trap Queens, especially as on Chalet, their more dominant side was the defense. Of course, there's different map, different levels of comfortability, different levels of,
Attackers need to
well, a
locate
lot
and
of different
defuse as
things.
many bombs as they can.
But just going off the numbers itself is what we've seen previously. Not only, obviously, you'd hope to see a little bit more just in general, but especially from Trap Queens, it's almost like we're seeing a different team at certain points on the defense, but also on the attack with how effectively GUGUDOLLS have been clearing out everything. Trap Queens, they're going to try meeting Hall and Kitchen a second time. But with how just daunting everything and how one-sided everything is bad for them and how GUGUDOLLS have really expertly dealt with everything, I'm wondering what really they can do, because everything they've tried,
10 seconds to
getting a bit
insertion.
aggressive. Lissa was able to find 2 kills, but GUGUDOLLS still brought it
5
back
seconds
without
left
much
before insertion.
answering from Trap Queens, save for Lissa on that smoke.
Attackers
They
are
tried to
moving
play close to the
defuse
site
bomb.
in the other 3 rounds in particular, and it didn't go that well either. This is likely going to come down to individual and the team as a collective on Trap Queens stepping up, and not so much in terms of the overall strategy.
Yeah, already. Trap Queens just feel like they are completely out of their element right now. They have yet to really have a round where I have felt like, not even just like they were in the driver's seat, but where I felt convinced that it was remotely close. Now, this is going to be a different change of events. Daddy Satan going ahead, getting the first kill they're able to take down Burbchan. But for me to really be convinced, I want to see it continue. But there's Moshizo able to go ahead and turn it right back around, taking down Alexis K as well. Evened out the man advantage here.
Bit of early progress and momentum taking down the Nomad, but Quickly answered back by GUGUDOLLS, so the impact you were hoping for isn't nearly as so. Though Malusi for a Nomad, I mean, it's still not a great trade either way, but I'd still make that trade if I had to. And even then, moving forward on to Marmalade, that's your sledge down and a set of nades. Not all that bad from Trap Queens, but GUGUDOLLS are not playing separately and far apart. They're playing close together, able to go for those trades, but finally, as I was about to say, one goes unanswered. No, it's still a flurry of kills both ways, but a flurry that results in Goddess alone. She finds one, and the second as well! Zura goes for the peek from the back, but she flicks 180 the moment the Aruni tries to find her moment. There she goes. There it falls. And there falls Trap Queen's hopes for any semblance of a good half for them, because now it's 5-0 and potential for a 6-0 if things don't change rapidly.
I don't want to say it because I always feel bad saying it. Like I always feel terrible even letting the thought come across my mind. But unless we see a big change from Trap Queens here, we might see a 7-0. It is entirely in the cards at this point. 5 rounds in a row that have been almost completely unanswered. I mean, not even almost completely unanswered. They've been completely unanswered by Trap Queens, who have gone from one of the most dominant teams during map number 1 to just feeling like they're a pub stack going up against a Challenger League team. And I mean, it's striking because I know they aren't. I mean, I know this isn't a pub stack. I know this is a very well put together team that have done very well. I mean, again, they were very dominant during map 1, but GUGUDOLLS and this map in particular have just completely flipped the script on them.
10 seconds left.
GUGUDOLLS have their Oregon attacks figured out. I think we can, even if they lose this round, I think we can come away with that half from this half at the very least, knowing that and coming to that conclusion. And the more and more the GUGUDOLLS go up, the more and more unlikely it seems. Trap Queens moving to their attacks. This was their weaker side on Chalet, and now we're moving to a map where the attacker is not as favored as on a side like Chalet. And now GUGUDOLLS just moving on in. Marmalade spots Sara with her shield in her hands and actually manages to rotate back and come away with it. Tara might have still been placing a mute jammer there. Bit of unfortunate timing, and now she'll find a nade in her face in the opening pick in the favor of the attack. As this kind of half rush, or maybe just Marmalade pushing in, trying to go for frags. Won't have much beyond that smoke kill, but it is a big kill nonetheless. While Elbows rotated off, the rush not as crazy as it could have been, so taking down an impactful operator and restricting Trap Queen's ability to stave you off in the later half of the round, that's a massive, massive boon to come away with in the first minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Daddy Satan, they're able to go ahead, trade back down, finally able to take down Marmalade, able to get that trade finally on the board there. Lissa does still have access to those Echo drones, though, and this at this point in the round, it's going to be pretty crucial. Now, Goddess is on the hunt for them. She is taking a look at every angle on the top there, trying to figure out where they are because she knows they're more than likely played on the site. And there is Demetrios able to take down Lissa as well. And that is your Echo down and out. And I'm surprised Demetrios lived that long. I'm gonna be completely honest. She was caught reloading in front of the hole there, and Daddy Satan just swung across, probably in the middle of the reload as well, and then came back around to get the kill, as well as another kill followed up there onto Moshizo. Now a 3v2. Daddy Satan going off has really been what has turned this round back around for Trap Queens here, and unfortunately blinding herself as she goes in. Burbchan will unfortunately find no success there, but Daddy Satan is down from outside the site there from Burbchan. Goddess able to finish off Soira, though, as well. So it's now just really up to Alexis K here in a 1v2, as Daddy Satan was on the ground, now finally down and out. As now it is just up to Goddess and Burbchan. The C4 sails out, but it will miss Goddess, giving at least some inkling of position to Burbchan, and that will be enough for her to get the win there. GUGUDOLLS take round number 6, a flawless half, and 1 round away from a flawless map.
realized I made a mistake on that big icon. When Tara died, I saw smoke. I was like, oh, the smoke must have died. But I did the same thing earlier. It was the mute that died. She was placing down a mute jammer. But either way, the point being, you still had the smoke alive and a C4 as well. And even with all those factors in mind, and the fact that Daddy Satan was able to get a triple kill inside the site, all of those factors were still not enough for Trap Queens to pull that out. The Jaeger doing the Lord's work inside the site. Smoke grenades flying out at default plant spot. A C4 flying over top as well. And still, the site play and the individual play for Trap Queens was not enough to stop GUGUDOLLS from taking match points. So even though I mistakenly said the smoke died and made out the kill to be a little more impactful than it was, the impact was not seen on Trap Queen's side throughout that round. And now GUGUDOLLS are on match point. They're moving down to basement. It's a little bit different of a lineup. You have an Ella and a Frost in place of, say, a Goyo, but with how well GUGUDOLLS play their attacking half, and how a lot of the harder parts of the attack are made easier by the defense, and how they still excelled on those harder parts on Oregon attacks, Map 3 seems in the cards. Trap Queens, they have to win 6 rounds in a row. I know you could count. I know you don't need me to tell you that, but I just need to say it because it's such a daunting task for any team to face and so improbable. It could happen. For all I know, in approximately 15 minutes, it'll be 6-5 and Trap Queens are on the brink of overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen turnarounds like that happen today, so it is not completely and totally out of the cards. However, I've just seen no signs of life from Trap Queens yet. I gotta be honest.
In this round, and hopefully maybe if map 3 of Consulate is a bit more Trap Queen's favorite territory if we do get it there. As the game is not over yet, we do still have this attacking round to play out and potentially 6 more if they're able to play their cards right. Sura behind a drone moving into dorms. Nobody spotted just yet, but as the drone moves in, could very well find the Frost playing inside of dorms. Here's the drone get destroyed. Another one comes in, but the Frost is rotated back down. A ghost inside of dorms. No longer is Burb there. He's droned out down below inside a kitchen, and Sora will drop to try to catch her on the rotate. But Burb is just rotating back, not at all trying to get too aggressive. And as she makes her way back down Big Tower stairs, she can rest easy, knowing that she wasted a minute, destroyed 2 drones in the process, unless Sora's shaking in the wind.
Already, minute and 20 seconds gone. No kills on the board for either team here. Taking the time Trap Queens are to move down to the site. They're trying to take out the player in pillars, but it will not happen there as Marmalade swings out, takes down Sora, and like that, Trap Queens are now down to a 5v3 as Moshizo swings up as well and takes out Lissa. And like that, Diffuser is down, and there's a lot that Trap Queens have to overcome here to prevent the 7-1, or the 7-0, my mistake.
They still have a fair bit of utility. 2 frag grenades, Hibana pellets, and Zofia concussions, and impact lifelines. A kill to their name as well. Daddy Satan finding Moshizo. It's not out of the realm of possibility just yet. 45 seconds as well, but Trap Queens don't seem to have a very cohesive push. You have one player sitting down on bottom Laundry who could find a pick if nobody on GUGUDOLLS knows she's playing there, but a Laundry execute with no freezer presence. I mentioned earlier how this can often be the death of teams, so you know how bad this can go if Trap Queens don't land this kill. Goddess is rotated on the laundry machine, playing right around the corner. Ooh. Demetrios gives her way to an angle, and unfortunately is the one that gets evened and makes it 3-3, punished for her play, but it's still 15 seconds left. Goddess in this position. Nobody on Trap Queens even aware of her presence, but now it's moved to the man advantage for Trap Queens. Goddess taken down. It's just Marmalade left in a 1v3. As Tara gets the bomb down, she finds the sledge inside a freezer, will swing, but she crouches behind the box, not able to land the shots, finally picks it up, but now the bomb is down. Only 28 seconds left before the round is completely null and void, and Trap Queens will land there first. It'll require a clutch from Marmalade to pull this off. And that kill on the sledge is the only one to her name in that round. Trap Queens pick up their first round, but still have 5 more to go. They even want to stop GUGUDOLLS from winning map number 2.
At the very least, they have prevented the 7-0. Can at least give them that. They have prevented the 7-0 from happening. That round despite the early man advantage and what felt like just very just no cohesion whatsoever from Trap Queens starting out into that. What really gave it to them was you were mentioning that kill onto Demetrius. The one kill they had to get to even things out was the key thing there. And Demetrios just unfortunately was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time in a very open position. And that was it. Trap Queens were able to finally even things out. They had a clear sight to plant in. They could cover any rotates in, despite having almost no freezer presence at the time, which you mentioned was very crucial for a plant in laundry. It didn't seem to matter that much. And they were able to get the plant down. They were able to hold it off for as long as they possibly could and left it down to a 2v1 against Marmalade. Or a 3v1 versus Marmalade. She was able to get one kill, but that was it. So the biggest thing I'm noticing is if Trap Queens can keep things even, at the very least here, if they can try and pull things back and not just let GUGUDOLLS run away with things as they have been for the last 6 rounds so far, then I think they have a potential of coming back from this. I think there is very real potential in them coming back here.
Trap Queens also made a couple adjustments. Obviously you have the Montaigne.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big one. It's actually the only adjustment.
The only adjustment here.
Yeah. They have those two hard breachers, which they had last time. Gives a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can open, especially without the Mav ban. But how they play around this Monty is crucial. Sometimes Monties can just kind of serve as human drones, and then they're quickly dealt with, and you're like, okay, well, you brought that instead of an op with good utility. Unlucky, I guess. But we have also seen teams can effectively play around this Montaigne. Say you want to send her inside a bunker to contest both the smoke to the left and the shields to her left and in front of her. It's a bit of a risk. I'm assuming, obviously, I'm assuming this is something they've tried, or at the very least have thought out pretty effectively. But I don't know. It's just a bit of a risk that I don't know if I would take this close to match point, especially on map number 2. But then again, they also have map number 3. So if there is any time to go for these risks, maybe it is now. And now that she's rotated over to bunker, we'll likely see what Trap Queens have in mind just in the next couple seconds.
Yeah, no, already here trying to move in, get some presence inside of Tarps here. The Smoke Nade will go ahead and push her outside of Tarps here. Looks like Marmalade trying to hold down the position here inside the doorway. Daddy Satan moving down the back stairs here, trying to clear out the pillar's presence. Will hold this very tight angle, sees the elbow of the Melusi there. Will try and take the shot, will unfortunately not be able to hit anything there. And will also make them very aware of the presence inside of back stairs now. Yeah, the hits there onto the barbed wire, making it obvious as well. Sora able to go get a kill onto Goddess, and Lissa finding one onto Marmalade as well. The early kills going the way of Trap Queens, and they're starting to claw their way back here. Make that now a 4v3 as Demetrios finally able to get a kill there back onto Trap Queens. Ah, my brain just shut down there for a second. But able to get away and board up blue tarps. That was the biggest thing there, is them able to get that last reinforcement up and cut off that angle for them, force them to use some hard breach, which they really only have a little bit of. They do still have Terra with the Hibana, but they're going to be actually using the Ace here. Sora is just a tiny smidgen of health away from dying, and that could be that entire huge piece of utility that they dedicated gone in just a moment if they are not careful there. But there's Daddy Satan able to take down Burbchan. As I say though, Terra was also taken out there by, I believe that was Moshizo. Daddy Satan finds another one there on a Moshizo, and unfortunately the melee is not working out for Demetrios there in the close range with the Monty, and just the hip fire from the pistol will be all that it takes. And like that, Trap Queens have taken another round.
They've got 2 so far, both on the basement. GUGUDOLLS' defense is not working out as much in their favor, clearly as they hoped, as they have now lost dorms twice, or basement twice in a row. They rotate up to dorms. No Monty play, at the very least, a moment from Trap Queens. Could see a 6 pick. Maybe Sora rotating from the Ash to the Monty, but I think that might just be a one-off and not the backbone of Trap Queens climb back up the mountain of this 6-2 deficit, or this 4-round deficit. But just the fact that they're looking stronger, it's nice to see. Even if GUGUDOLLS managed to take this out in regulation, the fact that it's looking closer It's nice.
Again,
Also, it's
they-
clear the Montaigne is coming back.
It's coming back. I mean, it worked. I mean, you can't say it didn't work, because it did. But I will give that a caveat. I mean, they've at the very least they've staved off the total defeat of a 7-0. But now that they're on the attack, though, GUGUDOLLS have really not been able to come back. They would look so dominant on the attack, and now Trap Queens are on the attack, and GUGUDOLLS really have not been able to push things back in their favor. They only need one round, though, so they can give up a lot, but it'll only take one round. But Trap Queens started out in the right direction, but they've still got a long way to go here.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Even at least for GUGUDOLLS, they have the luxury of 6 rounds of trial and error. Basement doesn't work out twice. Okay. We have dorms. We can try it. If it doesn't work out twice, okay, we can try another site twice. Of course, the more error you have and the more your trials end in error, the more time Trap Queens have to catch up. But you do have the luxury of that 4-round advantage, which can be a curse as much as it can be a benefit if you're able to let those slip away. One thing that can also be a curse and a benefit, depending on how you play it, is this player inside of big towers. Sometimes teams will forget they exist, and the player playing there, in this case Goddess, could go for a flank later on. At the same time, player on the side of GUGUDOLLS, if they're inside of big towers, Goddess could just waste a lot of time by simply existing up there if Trap Queens aren't able to deal with her effectively. But at the same time, with 3 windows around her, 2 floors down below, this is also a position where we see players lose their lives pretty quickly. And if Alexis K, for example, gets in position with those nades, Goddess could find herself dying early on with all the intel at Trap Queen's disposal.
Yeah, absolutely. Daddy Satan there looking to take out, I believe that's Goddess sitting there at the top of T3 here. They're just pinging shots back at each other, trying to find some way to take out the other. Their Burbchan actually able to go ahead and take one out there onto Trap Queens. Goddess, unfortunately, will fall there to Daddy Satan there, evening out the man advantage and not wasting too much time there and giving them full control of Big Tower here, as now it looks like Trap Queens are making pretty quick work of the hold of the site here.
Trying to make quick work of the site, but without one of your hard breachers, that could prove troublesome, especially if Alyssa finds herself as the second death on the side of Trap Queens, excuse me. She hasn't done much work in terms of hard breaching just yet, as both attic and the bedroom wall remain hard. It's actually Sora to make the first inroads into the site, as Montaigne spots a Mute Jammer and a Belusi Banshee around the corner. Nadal going, blows it up. Now she's free to move on in. Doesn't find many players actively contesting close to her left or her right. C4 flies out, does a hell of a lot of damage, but that's why you have that deployable shield. You can tank that little bit of damage and still remain alive without much counter or recourse from the defense. Daddy Satan falls. The more players that could have helped around this Montaigne are slowly dwindling by the second, and despite the fact that Sora's in sight, she does exactly have Diffuser, and she's allowed Marmalade to swing out and take down her teammate. So for all the good this Monty's doing in terms of map control, there's nobody on the side of Trap Queens to counter it. Now all you have left is Lissa and Daddy Satan, who has been picked up by Lissa. Downed outside big window, but only 15 seconds left. A 3v2, nobody actually in the building. This is a tough, and this is a tall order. Even with Burb on the floor, 5 seconds, vault on in, C4 blows Daddy Satan sky high. It's looking like a GUGUDOLLS victory, and finally it will come out. Trap Queens got those 2 rounds, but we're going to map 3 off the back of a 7-2 victory on GUGUDOLLS map pick of Oregon.
Yep, and just like that, what looked like, I mean, a dominant map 1 from Trap Queens, and now go to map 2 and they're just gone. The team that we saw on map 1 was not present in map 2 almost at all. So I'm trying to think of points here to give to Trap Queens going into this next map. I think they may feel a little bit better going here into map number 3 here of Consulate, given it's a little bit more of a technical map than Oregon is. Oregon is a very, I mean, we've said it before, Oregon's a very linear map. It's a very standard map. I mean, there's not a ton that you can really do to make waves on Oregon. If you're just a very mechanically skilled team, especially on attack, I mean, Goo Goo Dolls really showed up and showed out on attack there.
We are moving to Consulate of map 3, and I think that's important to note. As you're watching these replays and you're watching Goo Goo Dolls take that lead, Consulate is a map that out of the two, if we're talking about Chalet or Oregon, it's a map that will play out, that should play out a little bit more like Chalet in theory than it would in Oregon. So going here, it could be an equal battle for both teams, but Trap Queens can at least take some solace in that the map they're going to, it plays out more like the map they won as opposed to the map they lost. But they will still also have to deal with the fact that they are coming off the heels of a 7-2 loss to a team that it seemed like they were going to beat on map number 1, or they at least had the capacity to beat in 2 maps on map number 1.
Yeah.
So going to Consulate, we'll get to it in just a little bit. We're going to throw it to a short 5-minute break to see whether or not GUGUDOLLS will come away the victor 2-1 and move on, or it's Trap Queens to come away the victor here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Well, we're here on the decider, the guaranteed final map of the night for day 2 of CCSW. Deciding whether GUGUDOLLS or Trap Queens will go on to meet Sakuna in the other side of the winner's bracket. I'm Lynx, joined by Loaf, and again, we're here on the final map, map number 3 between these two teams. Map number 1, 7-4 in the favor of GUGUDOLLS, 7-4 in the favor of Trap Queens. Map number 2, 7-2 in the favor of GUGUDOLLS. So, at the very least, going into this should be, hopefully, the most even contest out of all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw in a arguably much more dominant fashion than on map 1 win by GUGUDOLLS, the last one we saw. But if I'm 100% honest, that really astonished me, considering even though Trap Queens were fairly dominant on map 1, it felt pretty close during the first half. A 3-3 first half, I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, even though the scoreline is even, you generally see it lean one way or the other. Felt like it lent a bit more towards Trap Queens, but it was still fairly back and forth. Same thing even through the second half, where only one round in the favor of GUGUDOLLS. You know, still felt pretty close between these two teams. Getting to map number 2, GUGUDOLLS just run off with it. I mean, 6 rounds in a row, a flawless half, 6-0. And Trap Queens managed to pull out 2 rounds and unfortunately aren't able to pull out a third, go down 7-2. It was a very, very dominant fashion from GUGUDOLLS, but as you mentioned, this map could probably play out to be the most even contest we've seen, not only because GUGUDOLLS are coming off of such a heater of a map, but just because of how this map is played. It's a lot more technically played, it's a lot less linear, there's a lot more room to work with than you have on Oregon, really. Oregon is a very, very constrictive map. This map really isn't, and Trap Queens seem to thrive on those more open maps, more technical maps, so far as we've seen, at least.
But on console, we also will often see that at least for the operator bands, it's not exactly the most inventive thing on the planet, though. I feel like we've said that about every map. So
yeah,
could just be a pattern in the game right now and how things are going as opposed to the map as a whole. But we often see that Nomad, we often see that Thatcher, and then we often see that Valkyrie on the defense to start things out. And for the final band, wouldn't be surprised if we see a Mira coming out on off the board as well. I've seen her banned, I think, most games today overall, the very least recently in this series. She's strong on Consulate as well. You can bring her on sites like Garage. If you want to extend on a site like Split and extend all the way up to Admin, she's powerful there. Will GUGUDOLLS take her down? They'll go for a Maestro. They'll go for that Maestro. Not wanting to have those evil eyes on Garage. You got the one behind White Van being I feel like that's the most common and the most well-known evil eye spot in the game, but still, overall, there's not that much to talk about here. It's Consulate bands. You know them. You love them or hate them or are indifferent about them, but you know why they're impactful.
Yeah. They are definitely impactful at the very least. Not having the Mira banned is definitely going to be... It's going to be interesting seeing the Mira not banned out here.
She's a common operator on... Well, when she's brought... I feel like it used to be when Mira was unbanned, we still wouldn't see her all too often because she was banned so often, teams were like, we have these strats without her. We don't really want to bring her. But now, when she is unbanned, I feel like she is brought frequently, especially with the maps we have in the pool that are so often played. A map like Cafe, you gotta bring Mira a lot. Not so much on a map like Oregon, but on a map like Consulate, Mira does have a lot of places you can have, especially on a side like Garage, the first site we're seeing right now. Like to see Goddess put a single Mira window inside of security to watch the Garage breach. Then there are a couple of variable spots you could put in. Sometimes you could see it on the right side of that lunch table, but really, the main one is that one behind security. That's often what attacks can live or die by, if they can manage to clear that out. And often when attacking teams don't, it's just almost a sentry turret sitting behind there, peeking out left, taking down someone, peeking down right, taking down another. So how Trap Queens work around these Mira windows is going to be paramount to their success on this side, but also forwards, depending on how critical this Mira is to GUGUDOLLS setups.
Yeah, absolutely. And Goddess playing on those Mira windows is, especially here on Garage, it's one of the most common places you see it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I thought Alexa spraying through that door was taking out a defender, because for whatever reason it was reversed in my mind, because as soon as she started spraying, Tara started losing health from Marmalade, and it was just a complete disconnect.
The curse of knowledge sometimes. You see everything happening and then things happen like that, and you're like, your brain is like, oh, this is what's happening. Oh, it's not. Never mind.
I was trying to say, oh, it's Terra dead, but Terra's on the other side of the map for what we're looking at. Oh, man. But anyways, looks like they're trying to make a push here into admin, clear out this top floor, and go ahead, rotate their way down, and get this vertical control. It's one of the more common ways you see this map taken. Vertical control is imperative on this map. And if they can take care of Burbchan, who is holding these windows very, very closely, trying to get as much control over the garage door, as well as holding control over Piano here, which for the operators like Alexis K's Sledge or Daddy Satan's Zofia are going to be very, very important in order to get that main wall open. There's Burbchan going to go ahead and take out one of the arguably most important operators for a top-down take like this. That's Alexis K's Sledge. Unfortunately, will fall. Daddy Satan here, trying to go ahead and make this push on yellow. Will go ahead and spray on the top landing. Will not connect anything, and will be brought down to less than 5 HP. It'll be Burbchan finishing her off as well. It's now a 5v2. GUGUDOLLS, a very dominant start to this third map.
Thankfully for Trap Queens, they still have a little bit, or a fraction of utility to work with. They're able to open up this garage wall, but quickly they take damage from the top ropes. Burb looking on down Sura, not able to confirm the kill as she crawls for safety behind that white car. And Burb's going for broke, but it's Marmalade to get the kill in the end. A flawless round for GUGUDOLLS nonetheless, as no member falls on their side. They start off with a very strong first defensive round.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, they've just continued going as dominant as they were in the first map here into map number 2. Or here into map number 3. I'm getting my numbers messed up too.
One number that will certainly be burned into the mind of Trap Queens is the 5 members on GUGUDOLLS left alive. After that 7-2 victory in GUGUDOLLS' favor, flawless starting out. It's not damning or dooming for the mental for Trap Queens. Like, there's still plenty of time to recover, and these are seasoned players that have played comp and been around the game for a while. I'm sure they've been in worse straits than this, but still, it subconsciously almost can just sometimes reinforce the notion that, okay, we really can't mess this up. Like, we have to start fighting back, and that's when you start getting your head, you start making mistakes, and things can sometimes falter. For GUGUDOLLS, if you're talking about faltering, this is a site, much like others, but this site, in a specific instance, that you can't falter on. And the faltering I'm talking about is on your execute inside of tellers. Trying to bait out those C4s, you got to be elegant about it. You got to be clinical about it. You cannot just walk in and start giving up bodies, because sure, you'll waste C4s, of which there's 3 on the side of the defense, but if you move to a 2v5, it's going to be easy for the defenders to then rush up those stairs and clean out the coverage and the person getting the bomb down. So if you're trying not to falter and you're trying to recover from that loss in round number 1, if that's the way you're taking this site, you have to do that expertly. Because we've seen GUGUDOLLS use C4 before, and they've worked pretty well, especially on Chalet. A site that entirely revolves around it, they might miss one, but I guarantee at least 1 or 2 are going to hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing here is if GUGUDOLLS want to, or if Trap Queens want to continue on and try and pick some rounds up here, they have to clear this offsite presence. It's been a thorn in their side time and time again, and it's going to be one of the more dominant things here, is if they don't clear this out, and if they don't clear it out effectively, their entire strategy is going to fall. We saw it in the first round. I mean, just very quickly, Kara was taken out early. It happens. You lose to a spawn peak. But very shortly after, you had 2 members of Trap Queens die upstairs to Burb. I mean, it's definitely not what you want to see. Alexis K going ahead, taking some shots at, I believe that's Burb. That's actually Burb, who I was just talking about, standing on landing there, will go away scot-free from that engagement.
Scot-free only for just a moment, punished soon after. Daddy Satan finds Burb rotating into garage, takes her down. That's the opening pick in the favor of Trap Queens, as they aren't going for that take I talked about, rendering all that monologue and that diatribe null and void, unless they could go for that later on. But it looks like they're going for a horizontal push, starting from garage and then moving into archives. And getting that first pick onto Burb is important, but she still wasted a lot of time. A minute left, and now they are starting to make their way through. But Trap Queens have anticipated this. They've rotated 2 players up top to go and start retaking the site if the players down below falter. One will get Jackal ping, so they know that at least one player could go for a flank later on, and that'll be Alexis K's job to take her down if she chooses to rotate towards the site. But Trap Queens have to start moving because the defense is continuing to stay in their positions. They still have a C4 in their pocket of Goddess, Moshizo, and Marmalade, both off the site in positions to try and take the attacking team from the back. And Trap Queens haven't made that much progress beyond their kill on the Burb. Alexis K will send one frag grenade in, taken by the Magnet. She'll send the second one in to try to clear the Mira, but the Magnets are staggered. It takes up the second as Terra gets the second kill of the round. Traded out by Marmalade, and punished is GUGUDOLLS for their aggression. Trap Queens pushes on in, and it's just Goddess left. Behind a mirror window, that's an easy pre-fire for her to clean up. Now this is going to be difficult because the plant's transitioned upstairs. They're planting inside of Tellers, and there's one down below to watch for the C4. She'll see the arm trying to tap fire, but rotates up spiral stairs before Goddess can land the shots. And before she can put the C4 down on the floor, the plant goes down. She'll rip it, put it up, try to bait it out, but it doesn't find much. It creates a hole to watch from below if she wants, but she doesn't have the time to play like that. She'll have to try to retake one of the hardest sites in the game. She'll get spotted on top of Spiral. That's Sura to waste almost her entire mag, and Terra to fall soon after. She might not get the defuse, but she might get 2 kills, only one to her name in the long run. Trap Queens, they even it back 1-1 as it looked a bit shaky, but then all of a sudden, a flurry of aggression and a flurry of success soon after they got that kill on the Bird.
And just like that, Trap Queens have pulled out another round there. A very nice post plan, as well as early round. They were able to win their engagements. It's only 1 refrag starting out. I think the biggest thing Trap Queens need to do is stifle that early round aggression. You talked about how that really came back to bite them, is they were able to catch GUGUDOLLS out in just catch them out. And there's no other way to put it. They caught them out. They're able to keep them from just hiding back and just using their defensive positions to facilitate that aggression and let them overextend themselves.
Take some trauma plates. Attackers have located a bomb.
Now on a site like Lobby, how far the defenders extend is important to their success. Obviously, we're going to see them extend upstairs. It's how you defend Lobby. You simply don't have enough room on this site to station 5 people just in Lobby, in press room, in antechamber, and bathroom. You'll quickly run out of spaces, and you'll quickly make it easier for the attacking team to just kill all of you. So you're going to send a couple bodies upstairs, but you can't get too aggressive because of how important this extension is. You need to play a bit reserved inside a projector, inside a connector as well, even as back in console or bathroom. Because you need one of those players to rotate back, because if your extension dies quickly because you got over-aggressive, you're leaving the defenders on site in a 2v5, depending on how much resources you've dedicated, and that'll be pretty easy for GUGUDOLLS or Trap Queens to either deal with, or just cover, get the bomb down, and now you're forced to retake a post plant into 2v5. Goddess opening this up, opening this window, going for a spawn peek. Thankfully, there's nobody there that seems to be countering it. Could have been an easy way to put your team in a 4v5, but as like most of the spawn peeks this game, nothing will come from it.
A bomb has been located.
Already here. Not too much happening, just really trying to get this set up here. Piano is going to be difficult for them to take, especially if they don't clear out this top floor presence, which it looks like this is going to be the very first thing they're going for. Once again, top-down take being one of the most effective strategies and one of the most common, especially for a site like this that has such vertical presence to it that is required. Goddess there, going to be the one to try and take this aggression here. Sees the head of the 0, will take the shots, will not connect any. Unfortunately, will take only about 25 HP of damage herself. Sprays and the wiggles coming out there from Sawyer there, Calvrix, and trying to find Goddess, unable to find her at all. She's just going to go ahead, take the shots there, and she will come away victorious. That MP5, unfortunately, able to outgun the MP7 in that situation. And like that, GUGUDOLLS have the opening kill.
Incredibly risky by Goddess there. With how shaky that gunfight was on both sides, and she didn't have much options to cut her losses if she started to rotate off, and especially if she turned her back to her, that's easy for Sora to just rappel down and shoot her. So she felt the need to stay and fight, and she came away with it. Lost a lot of HP, but still taking down that 0. Trap Queens seem to be stalling out a little bit, as they haven't done much to clear out really anybody on the side of GUGUDOLLS. I say that right as a frag grenade goes on in, but all it does is take Herb down to 50 HP, as Marmalade takes down Alexis K on a separate part of the map. And meanwhile, all that is happening, Lissa is in the site. Demetrios kills her teammate. She's the only one left, and I don't even know where Terra is, but she's found a kill and now has full control of the bomb site. Terra has a lot of work to do, a lot of angles to cover, and if one even drops the hatch inside a piano, the player could die, but nobody will. Nobody can test the bomb whatsoever. Lissa gets it down. As Marmalade pushes in, she'll fry the planter, and it's all up to Terra behind a soda machine. She won't even get that kill. She'll down Burr, but that's all to her name. And what looked like a brilliant stealthy play from Trap Queens is quickly turned on its head and revealed to be a round win for GUGUDOLLS, and one that we just didn't realize until it was too late for Trap Queens.
Yeah, they're taking their time, they're messing around, they're having their fun. Goddess all the way out at the opening gate there. Marmalade gets a defuse there, and GUGUDOLLS are really showing that this is going to be a back and forth until the end here, as, I mean, saw one round go the way of Trap Queens, one round GUGUDOLLS, one round GUGUDOLLS. I mean, it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I kind of expect it to continue this way. Now, I will say, if they continue the trend of slights at the very least, GUGUDOLLS could very easily come away with a 4-2 half here.
It's possible. GUGUDOLLS have one garage, lost split, one lobby. So they've only faltered once, and on split, it's not the worst thing on the planet. Finding success on lobby, I think, was the big thing, and especially with how great the success was. A lot of it came down to the gunfights going the way of GUGUDOLLS. For example, the engagement with Goddess onto Sura. And as well, overall, Marmalade managing to swing onto Lissa, and Lissa not able to move further than the opening kill she got for her team, moving inside a piano. So I think the fact they were able to do that, only losing split overall, really solid thing. And if they're able to pull that out, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 4-2, 5-1, but Trap Queens also, let's not count them out. While the last rounds haven't looked the best, they've also had some solid showings on their attack throughout the series, some flickers of brilliance. If they're able to bring it back on basement, I still think it's pretty likely that they could bring this back. If they're able to effectively either clear out the roam, but if they're able to bring Alexis K further in the round and have impact, she got taken down early, and if she's able to open up the piano floor, that could be huge. And if you're talking about early kills, Alexis K, that very sledge, has just removed the head of Marmalade. So she's not finding impact and utility, but she is getting the opening pick for her team and taking down a powerful player attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Opening pick going the way of Trap Queens is definitely what we like to see. And we've seen before, when things go their way early, they tend to continue going that way. I mean, this has been the most extreme case of round momentum that we've seen. It's whoever gets the opening kill more often than not continues on throughout the round to continue getting those kills, continuing to have the man advantage later on into the round, continuing on eventually to the round win.
Mushies or Jackal Ping will send out a C4, won't able to find anything, and in fact her position is still found and known by the attacking team as long as these pings remain. Though, since she's in the site, she doesn't have to worry all too much unless somebody moves up above, but right now Trap Queens are still focused on clearing throughout that top floor and moving downward into the map. But the fact that they have all 5 of these operators alive, it's already much better than it was on their first basement attack. Not only have you taken down Marmalade, you still got your Ace, still got your Maverick, and especially your Sledge. And now they're finally starting to move and make progress down here, but they are taking it a bit slowly. You still have Alexis K just crouch walking up down long bar. They know someone might be on yellow stairs. It looks like both her and Daddy Satan are in a position to go for the swing and potentially the trade. 2 minutes in, and they're still on this top floor. A lot of the praise I was giving them is kind of rung hollow. And especially even the calls of a crossfire have even rung hollow, as not only does she kill Daddy Satan, Burb somehow gets away with that. Somebody swings her from Z. She gets put to 1 HP and lives and manages to rotate off. I don't know how the hell that just happened, but she's dead now.
Justice has been done. Finally, she got away with highway robbery with little more than a scratch. There's Lissa able to go ahead and start getting things her way as well. Now it's a 4v2 in favor of Trap Queens here, doing a lot of good work. Terra able to take down Goddess as well. It's a 4v1. It's all up to Moshizo here. Knows that the Melusi charge is going off, but it's going to be Sora as well, finishing things out. And that's gonna be the second round now in favor of Trap Queens.
Pretty strong one at that. When they were able to gain their momentum, they looked victim. You did have that odd engagement with Burr, but they're still able to clear it up. They proved that that was just an anomaly that round. They're much more consistent overall, and they managed to win basement. That was a really important round for them because they've shown that they're not just going to win split. They're able to win on other bomb sites, and now Goo Goo Dolls are not nearly in as safe a position as they were last time because that wasn't just a 1v1 that came down to a missed gunfight. Trap Queens did really well overall at dismantling Goo Goo Dolls. Obviously, they did take a long time, so it wasn't all roses for them. There was still a
Attackers
bit
need
of
to locate and
sluggishness that I
defuse
would
a
like to
bomb.
see expedited a little bit, and a lack of intel, specifically with Burb on Yellow Stairs, able to get that kill onto the Zofia. There were still enough good points where I feel like they'll be able to fix those, and moving forward, if they're able to win basement a second time, of course, that'll be the last round. They've guaranteed themselves a 3-3 half. But where we were starting out, and it was looking a bit shaky going into this, they're now regaining a lot of the same prowess that they had on Chalet. That early round aggression, clearing out that roam, or at the very least making progress on acquiring that early map control, and that's what we needed to see from them if we
10
wanted this
seconds
map to be
remaining.
competitive.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is turning out to be
5
very
seconds to
competitive. I mean, the early round. I mean, again, as like I've talked about it time and time again, but it's really proving, especially on the more competitive maps, to really dictate where it's going to go. Goo Goo Dolls get a good opening pick, get a good solid start to the round. That's going to continue to build. If Trap Queens do, it's going to continue to build. It's going to continue going in the right direction. So, we'll see where the start of this round goes. Who gets the opening pick and who's able to capitalize off of it.
People placing themselves in the position for opening pick contenders could be Burb on the top floor, but right now, Trap Queens aren't all that much concerned with the second floor. 4 members all on the first floor, and really all 5 members on the same plane at the very least, just one of them outside the building. Might just send it on into tellers that they're really feeling risky with it, but I imagine we'll likely see some sort of focus up top. You can see Alexis K watching the flank down Visa, Lissa watching the rotate outside a security hallway, and in fact, Daddy Satan will even go for the drop behind a drone. Could create some noise. Also, the site's basement. I don't know why I said split for some reason, but the pressure inside of Visa, they're taking it from the back. You could understand my confusion because it's not often a take we see. This take from the east to west side, no focus on the top floor, not even much focused on the first floor. And even when they turn their attention to the top floor, Burr peeks and is immediately cut down. This is certainly an unorthodox approach to attacking basement, but it's working pretty effectively for Trap Queen so far. Just can they carry that momentum forward in the final minute 20?
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like they will start to. Daddy Satan's able to take down Demetrios, and it looks like Goddess will just about fall as well. Marmalade finally able to give him back onto Alexis K, but Daddy Satan, double kill on the round, will find Goddess. Marmalade takes down Terra as well for a double kill of her own, but Daddy Satan in the same position as before, gets a triple. Marmalade following it up once as well, and now Marmalade has a little bit more to go. She'll have to ace in order to win this round, but Daddy Satan only needs one more, only needs the quad to finish things out. Lissa as well, still up on the board. Things are looking very good for Trap Queens, and Marmalade has a whole world ahead of her if she wants to clutch this out.
Send him to C4 to try to bait the play, but it's all for naught. Daddy Satan will land that quad, and Marmalade will just come short of the ace. And there you go. Trap Queens on that unorthodox push managed to pull it out. It's incredibly risky to go for a back push and a push over towards cafeteria. You don't have breach open. You don't have that soft destruction in piano. You essentially have 5 defenders fully, or 3 defenders in this case, but you have X number of defenders, 3 or 4 if the roam is able to rotate back, all sitting on the site, and all you really have is pushing through choke points, that single door in blue and that double door in security hall. And yet Trap Queens still managed to pull that out and execute that in, by all metrics, kind of like a B, should not be able to function, and yet they somehow managed to do it. And now they've secured themselves a 3-3 half at that as well. Moving to lobby press rooms, this was the other side Goo Goo Dolls had managed to win, but we've seen a role reversal where it looked like Goo Goo Dolls were just one step ahead of Trap Queens, and now it looks like the attacking team is starting not to run away with it, that it's unreachable for Goo Goo Dolls, but at least start to outpace them in the improvements and the ideas they're making for them. With also combined with some missteps by Goo Goo Dolls, specifically in that last basement round, not able to capitalize off of the restricted setting and execute that Trap Queens are forcing themselves into, looking like a 4-2 half might be in the cards if Trap Queens are continuing the trend of outdoing GUGUDOLLS on familiar territory.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if they just keep getting these early round picks that go almost unanswered by GUGUDOLLS, I mean, I just don't think there's any other way that it can go.
5 seconds left. Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
I don't know if I'd count it off that hard. I want to be that dude. But I feel like GUGUDOLLS have played well enough, especially on map 2, that just, if the opening duel goes the way, it's not out of the realm of possibility for GUGUDOLLS to bring it back. But I also understand your point as well. Trap Queens get that early momentum. It's pretty hard to bring it back sometimes. Alexis K isn't able to grasp that early momentum, and in fact, it's Marmalade to try and reach out and at the very least graze it. Puts 25 HP worth of damage onto Alexis, but beyond that, not much to say for that gunfight. Beyond, Alexis will think twice about peeking Yellow Door next time Marmalade is sitting there.
Activating drone.
Yeah, already they're taking their time getting into the map here, trying to figure out the best way of entry, trying to clear out as many of these defenders as they can, because they know the extension is there. The extension is always there. The slow peek from Burbchan, unfortunately, will result in her death. Daddy Satan as well will go ahead and start moving her way into the map as well. And once again, Daddy Satan starting off with a good portion of the kills there, but Marmalade finally will find a kill of her own, as Lissa will fall as well, and that is one of their main hard breaches as well, taken down. Marmalade going to go ahead and try and make this push into bathroom as well, try to give some more support to Goddess, who is holding down this extension up top here.
Attackers recover.
Trying to slow down the attack any way they can, but there's Daddy Satan as well, able to take down Marmalade. Goddess frags back though. Pings coming out there onto Alexis K. She will unfortunately fall. Terra finds Moshizo, and now it's just back and forth here. A 2v2 now. GUGUDOLLS and Trap Queens, and usually it ends up going the way of the people who get the opening kill, but now it's just a frag fest back and forth. It's Goddess and Demetrios here in a 2v2 against Terra and Soira.
Still have a minute left, and Terra knocking on the door of the bomb site. Sora is the one
Bomb
with the
located by
diffuser, and
attackers.
not sure where she is. Actually, no, she's outside of Yellow Doors, so not in terrible positions. Still playing in a position where one of them could get the refrag at the other, but maybe a bit too far apart for comfort. But if Sora is able to land this pick in a site, as they know that someone is playing behind that bomb chassis, that could be the inroad they need to make their play. In fact, Terra with nades in her pocket can just send one on him. Oh, but it gets caught by a magnet. If there's one more, if this nade gets caught, it could prove fatal. But no, it goes forward and in fact lands on Demetrios. But on the rotate off, catches not one, but both the remaining members of Trap Queen's attack. As that nade might have very well, I wouldn't say that cost them, but it is a bit ironic that the very thing that was meant to clear the Wamai out of that position, cleared him out, certainly, but then they just walked into his crosshairs, and the rotation didn't matter all that much in the long run. GUGUDOLLS end the half 3-3, moving on to their attacks.
And we've seen an even half. This is just honestly one of the closest just back and forth maps. I mean, this is what we expected going into this. We knew this was going to be one of the closest, if not the closest maps, and it was going to be the best map of contention that we were going to see.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
I don't know,
from being
the
defused by
horrible
attackers.
person in me does gain some sinister enjoyment whenever we're like, yeah, this should be a close map, and then it's not. I still hate it, and it still angers me to no end, but it's almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde inside. He's like, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty funny for like, this should be a close map, and then Trap Queen's just 7-0. It's like, oh.
Well, we tried.
Listen, we showed up, we did our jobs, we gave our thoughts.
There's only so much we can do to actually influence the outcome of the game, which is exactly nothing.
Good old college try.
10 seconds left.
That's true. We have literally, I've always wondered that.
We've done everything in our power to influence the game, which is exactly nothing.
Back in like, casting like T5, I'm like, I wonder if a player just has the stream open and like they're hearing me say something like, "Oh, that's a good idea. We should do that." I wonder if that's ever happened. I'm sure that's happened at some point.
It probably has at some point or another. I'm not gonna lie. I think I remember something similar like that happening back when I used to cast CSA. I'm not gonna lie. I think that exact thing happened at one point or another.
I know. Probably didn't happen when I'm casting. I'm too stupid for that. But I'm sure they had the stream on. They're like, "What the hell's this guy talking about?"
Well, we'll go ahead. We'll talk about what Soira's doing right here, sitting on the windows with
the hell is she
Flash.
doing?
She's doing something. She's doing something. That's for sure.
I mean, literally, that is true. Yes.
She is trying to hold off these attackers as hard as she possibly can here with this class shield, and she plays it correctly. This could be a really nice play, but those Zofia stuns are hitting pretty hard there, and she is probably going to be dead before she knows it, as there are 4 players sitting around those windows chucking as much utility as they possibly can at her.
There's a phrase I want to use there, but it's not broadcast friendly, but we can just say she is in a world of hurt right now. She is in a blender, and yet she has come away the victor. 25 HP, she burnt both Zofia concussions, both impact lifelines, and now they no longer have any way in terms of utility to deal with her. Sora, you can pat yourself on the back after this round because that was some damn fine clash, and now she's dead. All right, well, that's my bad. That one's on me. She gave herself with there.
She wasted a minute and a half.
That's what I was going to say. She wasted a minute and a half, and you know what? We can all take solace in that fact. Listen, can also take solace on the fact that she managed to come away despite giving herself up to that angle in the rotate hole. But she's on 1 HP, and now she's dead as well. So I'll take the L for those.
You just can't say anything.
I know, I really can't. But Trap Queens, they're not taking the L this round. In fact, they're taking a big old W. Though right as I say that once again, Daddy Satan, Alexis K, they got their 2 kills. Moshizo answers back, and Daddy Satan, she's watched her team get punished for their aggressive play, peeking those angles, and now she'll try to turn. But Moshizo has the angle through the wall, sprays her down, and Trap Queens, GUGUDOLLS,
the yellow
they
ping.
take the lead on their attacking half, the good old yellow ping.
The good old Z ping.
All reliable.
Old reliable Z ping there, just absolutely putting Daddy Satan in the dirt.
Can't account for the Z ping sometimes.
Unfortunately, you cannot.
Seriously though, big ups. Even though they ended up losing the round, big ups to Sora on that one.
Absolutely.
Just the entire time on that clash play, I just again played that incredibly well. The amount of utility she wasted. Clashes can be incredibly difficult to deal with by the attacking team, even by some of the best of teams. The fact that she's able to waste that much, big old thumbs up for me.
Absolutely.
But you're also fighting GUGUDOLLS. GUGUDOLLS are not the moment you even give yourselves up. Maybe it'll take a couple tries. We'll eventually get it. They're not team just let that go, and that's a big problem with console right there, as you saw. You had 2 people sitting on console repel. They ended up killing the Clash. They also ended up doing a hell of a lot of damage to the Mozzie, who ended up getting finished off by someone on connector repel. And then now that you've taken out some of those big players who are in the face of those windows, there wasn't a lot of room for Trap Queens to maneuver inside the site, and it was an easy cleanup for GUGUDOLLS. So that's in a microcosm, an example why second floor has kind of started to fall out of favor, and why sites like basement are the bread and butter consulate defenses, which is site number 2.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
I honestly have no way. I have no inkling of an idea which way this is gonna go. Now, if these next 2 rounds, actually, if this next round goes the way of GUGUDOLLS, then I think they can close it out. I was about to say these next 2, and it's like, well, if it's the next 2, then they'll just be on match point. It's like, yeah, at that point they should be able to close it out. But I think this next round will be very telling. If they're able to have as dominant a round as they had during the last one, and really able to take care of this attack or take care of this defense with no problem at all, I think GUGUDOLLS very easily have the potential to close this out.
You can never count out either of these teams. Even at certain points, struggled to count out Trap Queens on map 2 though. Did get to a certain point where you're like, okay, maybe they are kind of counted out. Yeah. But here, no, definitely not the case. Minute 10 in, I would say all is quiet. We've seen a fair bit of gunfire, and GUGUDOLLS are starting to make progress into the building. Know someone might be inside a bathroom, but even despite the player still sitting in there, Marmalade decided to take that angle. And off screen, we've seen Goddess and Washizo both take their own and win their own gunfights. I don't know what Burb's plan there was. I hate to say that about a player because it feels a bit mean-spirited, but she just sprinted in a bathroom and got ripped into a shotgun. So,
Yeah.
maybe wasn't the play, but despite her sacrifice going unanswered, Demetrios has the bomb down. They've pushed into basement. Goddess is holding an angle. Alexis K is on low HP, and it doesn't seem like Trap Queens have that much of an answer, as not only under their nose, but under our nose as well, GUGUDOLLS have just created and execute seemingly out of thin air. And Alexis K is left with top control, but not much beyond that. The moment she takes a gunfight downstairs, Goddess cuts her down, and the attacking team wins their second round in a row.
Yep. And like that, I mean, I feel like now there is much more solid potential for GUGUDOLLS to close this out. Before it was, yeah, it's possible, but this is such a back and forth match, it's hard to tell. Now with such a solid string of rounds in a row from GUGUDOLLS, I feel like they can continue that. We ended up with 3 men still on the board here. At the end of the round, they just have to do it again. They do it one more time, they put themselves to match point. I think they can close it out there.
Their attacks have certainly looked strong. I will say that was a bit of a confusing round, at least from looking at our perspective. We don't exactly know what happened on that bottom floor. We did see a little bit of the second floor play, and honestly, with the way that looked, it was like, okay, Trap Queens probably have this, but impressions are often deceiving, as it was GUGUDOLLS to come away with that. But on that first attack and on that second attack, GUGUDOLLS seemingly have played very well together. You can't just pull off and execute like opening breach and sneaking into the bomb site by playing individually. There was clearly good communication there, good crossfires held by both teams, and of course good awareness and good what's the word I'm looking for? I guess good poise just to move on in and not at all give away your positioning to Trap Queens. You can't just do that if you're an uncoordinated team. So if they're able to carry that through, I think you're certainly correct that they should be able to pull this through. We've also seen Trap Queens do that very same thing on their attacking half. We haven't seen it as much on the defense, but even then, despite this two-man lead, I don't know. I feel like, you know, Loaf, I'm gonna say it. I feel like you're a pessimist sometimes. Look on the bright side of the world.
No, I mean,
Start looking at the glass half full.
You're not wrong. I am a pessimist sometimes, but you know, we gotta have that dynamic. I gotta be the one to just I just gotta be the one to dump motor oil in your Cheerios, and you gotta be the one that's gotta try and mop it back out.
It's also super ironic because you're all in the predictions for CL as well. You're always like, yeah, I think this underdog can pull through, and everyone's like, no, they can't. But now here you're like, but then sometimes a game you're like, I don't think this team has a chance, and then I'm the one that's like, well, I think maybe they do. I think maybe it's just that I'm a contrarian, and I like arguing.
You are a contrarian.
I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't make sense.
All right, Mr. Debate Team.
Hey, part of the reason I'm here.
Anyways, back to the match. There's not really a whole lot going on. They've just been kind of shooting at windows, trying to find a way inside. It looks like Marmalade will finally make the first push inside. There's not a whole lot of intel. I think they do know there's at least one person sitting on yellow, and I think that's about the extent of their knowledge. Minute and a half gone here, and they're just waiting. They have spent so much time just doing nothing but waiting here.
I got some.
Just waiting. They have made some progress. They will also get a little bit of intel, a glimmer, a jackal ping onto one of the members of the defense. But beyond that, Trap Queens, you can see them in turn slowly moving in to constrict the attacking team. Alexis K on yellow, Daddy Satan at the bottom spiral. And it doesn't appear that GUGUDOLLS are all too aware. In fact, you even... Oh, no, that wasn't a member of the defense. I thought that was Alexis K, but no, it was Goddess, who is now dead. The opening pick in the favor because you saw Alexis K not get one, but two as well. But there's the bane of the Roni sometimes. You run out of ammo to take down that third guy, but Alexis K can take solace in the fact that she still killed two. Third will fall on the yellow. That's Daddy Satan to pick up that kill onto Burb and might find a two-piece of herself if she's able to get this gunfight onto Marmalade, which she will. Now, clearly we should not have counted Trap Queens out. Demetrios moving in. She's not long for this world. Sora picks her up. And it was those two roamers, the Mozzie and the Jaeger respectively, to slowly creep in and then pounce the moment GUGUDOLLS were not watching.
And I do want to mention, at least I felt like there was more of a potential that GUGUDOLLS were coming away with that after that last round. Now, however, I don't want to completely say that I was counting Trap Queens out. I felt like GUGUDOLLS had more of they were going to close it out if they won that round. But now that Trap Queens have started pulling it back, it's more back and forth now. It's more back and forth, and it's more, I have no idea which way this is going to go. Because even if GUGUDOLLS put it up to match point, I still have a solid feeling that if winning that last defensive round, I still think there's a solid potential for Trap Queens to still come back and tie it up. Will you at least agree with me there?
Attackers need to locate.
I
and
do
defuse
agree
as
with
many
you
bombs as they
sometimes.
can.
I'm asking if you'll agree with me there, though. Not asking if you ever do agree with me. I know you do.
Listen. I did the classic answer my own question and hope you didn't notice. You'd be surprised how many people that works on. Yes, I will agree with you there. Are you happy now?
Yes, I am
content?
happy you actually answered my question that
Good.
time.
That was a tub to the whale. Don't expect that much in the future. As you said, it's part of our dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
10 seconds
You keep
left.
being wrong. I'll keep being right.
5 seconds to
Yeah,
insertion.
okay.
Now you didn't give me the reaction I hoped for there. Now I just kind of feel lonely. Anyway, moving beyond my own feelings of inadequacy, Trap Queens are giving Split a try. I've not seen that yet out of this team, and it's a similar lineup overall. Though we do have an Aruni, which you wouldn't normally expect based on how the site plays. You'd be like, okay, you're gonna stack up on those C4s, but the Aruni certainly has its uses. You can place those Aruni gates not only on top on the second floor, but you can place them on the first floor to force the attackers to burn intel if they choose to push downstairs or if they choose to push inside the site. But at least for the moment, looks like GUGUDOLLS might go for the same attack that Trap Queens did on this site. Instead of taking it vertically, they'll move in on the horizontal, and quickly at that. Marmalade sails on through, jumps over the hurdle, and continues on for it. She'll open a punch hole, try to find anybody inside a kitchen, but there's nobody immediately in the area to give themselves up to that angle. But I do find it interesting that we haven't seen Split taken traditionally one time this match. It's always been this Western take from Garage on over. It seems to be the bread and butter and the favorites for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like Demetrius is here trying to make an aggressive play here down through the bottom side, moving up here with Marmalade. But I don't think they are aware of the shotgun player of Terra right to the left of that door. They are going to be droning it, so I think they will be made aware of it here shortly. But they also have Alexis K sneaking back through these yellow stairs. Now Moshizo is going to make the attackers aware of that here shortly. There's Daddy Satan able to go ahead and start things off in the right direction here for Trap Queens. As just like that, it has made a 4v5 and now a 3v5 as they were completely unaware of Terra. They had no idea she was there, and she was just able to put, I believe that was Burb who tried to move through there, into the dirt.
She'll get flamed out and have to rotate off, but the E1D won't manage to spot her. She managed to go prone in time. Daddy Say not able to spot Goddess on the prone angle, but it's still man advantage for Trap Queens, and still Terra in a pretty strong position to counter either the push in Security Hall or the push from Kitchen. She's retaken her spot to the left of Demetrios, holding close with the shotgun as well. While Alexis K gets one kill across the map, Terra gets one right in front of our eyes. It's looking like, yeah, there we go. A Trap Queens victory. Two dominant ones at that, one after the other. A team that seemed to be struggling a little bit to deal with GUGUDOLLS' attack has turned and flipped around and gone 180 the other direction. We're now even 5-5.
Yeah, absolutely they have. I mean, they've gone in the absolute right direction here, and I'm not sure which way this is going. I mean, it was 2 rounds in a row from GUGUDOLLS that looked really solid. Now 2 more rounds in a row from Trap Queens that have looked really solid, and I have no idea which way this is going to go now. And I mean, it could honestly, I mean, this could go either way. This could still go either way. I'm not as adamantly confident in GUGUDOLLS as I was at the end of last round.
Attackers need to locate.
I'm leaning more again. This is very evenly balanced. I mean, we were kind of seeing a little bit of a lackluster showing from Trap Queens there at the turn of the half, as well as into the second half, and now they've really had a resurgence. And I mean, this could just go either way. And if I'm fully honest at this point, I would not be surprised if we go to overtime.
I think overtime is possible. It just depends on how much Trap Queens can keep on the pedal. These past couple rounds, as opposed to
10 seconds left.
a lot of Oregon and some of the rounds here on Consulate. They've been playing much more like they did on Chalet. They've been getting in the face of the attack. They've been getting those opening picks, and not just the opening picks, but also just denying map control for the attack as well. We saw when GUGUDOLLS defended that site, there wasn't that much pressure physically outside of kitchen or security, other than that Mira in security or in Archives Hall, watching all the way down to kitchen. So Trap Queens were able to push up pretty quickly, and that was actually one of the only attacking rounds that Trap Queens won. By that time, Trap Queens, knowing how that take works, they instead stationed some people staggered out in their face, and they're able to get those opening picks. If they're able to carry that forward, and GUGUDOLLS, if they just don't even have an answer in one or two more rounds specifically, Trap Queens will be able to end this 7-5 and send the favorites down to the loser's bracket. And it looks like almost like a 3-act structure. On map 1, they started out well. We had a crater in map number 2, but now map number 3, it seems we've evened out. The heroes have learned their lesson. Just 2 more rounds. We'll complete that hero's journey.
Absolutely here, and it looks like they're just gonna go for it here with the smoke plant here on the main door. Lissa's just gonna run right up and shut that down immediately, and going to make things a lot more difficult here for Trap Queens. And she's just gonna goblin her way down the hatch into the basement.
Just the way that happened was comical. 2 smoke grenades. GUGUDOLLS like, all right, guys, we got this. And then Lissa was like, no, you don't. They just walked up. So that's not really at the fault of GUGUDOLLS all that much. I mean, maybe you could have placed those smoke grenades a bit better, but I probably wouldn't have accounted for Lissa just sprinting on through and managing to find a glimpse of the planter amongst the 2 smoke grenades. So
yeah,
not entirely on them. It's just the unfortunate situation here is now you have to rotate off. The way GUGUDOLLS are playing, they're like, all right, guys, this is our push. And now it's like, okay, guys, this is our push now. They're rappelling up on the side of Piano, and this is still one of the primary executes for this site, but they don't really have the map control for it. Since they did that rush up top, they haven't fully cleared out Projector. They haven't fully taken control of Yellow Stairs either, so they're forced to push on in, kind of in a similar vein to how Lissa did this on Trap Queen's attacking half, and we saw that didn't exactly go their way when you don't have the map control necessary. And now you're left with this. GUGUDOLLS sitting, waiting, trying to bait out a pick, maybe gain some more intel, but not much beyond that in terms of strategy because they've used all their utility early on a failed execute and don't really have the map control to nail this one. So with Goddess in the diffuser, Moshizo just outside, they will land the kill onto Sora on bottom yellow, making the man advantage in their favor, and as Goddess moves on in, she'll get the bomb down behind Piano. Alexis K finds one as Terra falls. It's just the Wamai left, and I guess that's all you needed. Goddess pushed in through main door. They got that 1 kill onto Sora on yellow. And I suppose they had some intel that main lobby was a bit more free than anticipated. An excellent reversal. Losing that rush and losing that initial execute, when you lose all those resources, it can be debilitating for some teams. The fact that they're able to rotate off and still come away with that and hold those angles so well, I was kind of downplaying it and worried at how it would pan out. But what a stellar way to prove me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that, they just need one more round to win this series. This has been, despite map 1 and map 2 feeling very, very uncontentious, this map has really brought the best of these 2 teams out and has really shown just the breadth of the competition we can have between them.
Attackers have located a bomb.
But unfortunately for Trap Queens, their march back is now stopped by overtime. They have to win this round, and they won't be free just yet. They have to play out potentially three more rounds. Of course, could be 2-0. The one overtime we've had today was 8-6. It did not go the full distance. Excuse me. I've been starting to get hiccups, and I'm desperately trying to stave them off as we continue through this map. I don't want it to happen, but as I think they've gone. Trap Queens are starting on the defense. This looks to both sides have
Attackers are heading
looked a
out
bit
to defuse
even.
a bomb.
It was a 3-3 half, but I've been more
Mhm.
confident on Trap Queen's 2 defensive wins than I did their 3 attacking wins, even though a couple of them were pretty solid overall. So the fact that Trap Queens are starting on the defense, going to overtime, this shouldn't be a bad omen for them. If they're able to end this out,
Attackers
it's
have
been a
dropped the
couple
bomb
misplays that have, and really great plays by GUGUDOLLS that have netted the attacking team
Attackers
round
recovered
wins.
the bomb diffuser.
So even if going to overtime, it's not unwinnable for Trap Queens. I think it's still pretty possible they come away with this, even though they're on the back foot.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. Biggest thing I'm going to be looking for here is how they're going to get this wall open, no problem. It's then going to be a how they then go for the vertical, because knowing the way Goo Goo Dolls like to attack, they're going to go for the vertical. They're going to go for piano, or they're going to try and take down from console office, or trying to go through admin. It actually looks like they're going to expedite this process and just go ahead and head through admin, or through piano, my mistake, and they're going to ping the Jaeger, whose footprints were there. Knowing he's all the way over in admin, at the very least is going to let them know, hey, his top floor presence we know is there, is all the way off the site here. We can go ahead, we can try and get some verticality, try and get some control on the site here. But that ping is also going to make the defenders aware, hey, they're in the map, they know where we are, we need to start moving our way back to site, we need to try and clear out this top floor, try and get as much presence back to the site as we can, to try and slow them down or stop them.
And what do we have here?
Well, they haven't need to slow down the attack so far. The attack has been a little bit slow in and of itself. Barb has moved on in, and it's actually the opening kill to come the way of GUGUDOLLS, though it's onto a team kill. But the entire the entire kill screen lights up orange. One of them was a team kill, but the only kills so far have been on the side of GUGUDOLLS, despite their one death. Barb has moved on in, killed 3 people. Demetrios got one as well, and I was going to highlight the roam of Daddy Satan. That is now the only thing left to highlight, because the Jaeger's the only one alive, and now is in a 1v4 post plant on basement garage defense. You find one. That's Burb. Getting a bit over aggressive, but you're still in a 1v3. There's one player inside of Archives. Could take it from the back, but that's the least of Daddy Satan's concerns right now. Her biggest concerns are the 2-player 20,000 meters outside of the garage, holding a long angle, watching the diffuser. And she only has 11 seconds left to deal with it. And it's not even that. It's an upside-down rappel to seal her fate. But I was going to say, it was going to take an inhuman effort to seal that out, and it's just not going to happen today. GUGUDOLLS, no overtime in the cards. It's a 7-5 victory for them. Took all 3 maps, but eventually we made it after their 7-2 victory on Oregon. Powered up, and they won 7-5 in regulation on map number 3.
It's definitely the most contentious map that we saw throughout this entire series. I mean, these two teams, I mean, I feel like they were pretty evenly matched, and that map really showed it. For whatever reason, Oregon was not Trap Queen's map. They looked so lost during the first half. They could not find their footing at all. They finally found a little bit in the way of some footing towards the end, but unfortunately was not enough. Ended up losing that out 7-2, as you said. First map, I mean, it was decent, and we kind of saw some back and forth in the early half, but all in all, I think that really can go down to the fact that GUGUDOLLS' dominant performance on Oregon and a really solid performance, and just ended up triumphing over Trap Queens in the very end there.
And in the end, there won't be an upset like Loaf and I were maybe a little bit hoping for our casters. Of course,
Yeah.
for all of you, your betting economy will now manage to stabilize. We will not have a great depression in the Twitch points gambling market. Favorites will end up coming out on top, but still, I think this was a great showing from Trap Queens. Kind of like how previously in the SH Mirage game, odd how the parallels, by the way, a 2-0 and a 2-1 in the first week, and then a 2-0 and a 2-1 again in the second week. Kind of odd, but hey, this is how it works sometimes.
That's how it works.
Trap Queen's still putting up a good showing. I think both them and Mirage are definitely two of the biggest teams to look out for in that lower bracket, because not only of, being the closest games of the series or being part of the closest series of CCSW so far, but also their ability to learn from their mistakes later on. Sure, it wasn't so much learning from their mistakes, but losing at map number 2, then regaining at map number 3, but still not being able to fully lose the momentum and not losing full by map 2 or map 3. Mirage and them, I think they're pretty solid contenders to make a good run down through the lowest bracket. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of Mirage or Trap Queens in the future. So good showing by them overall, despite the 2-1 loss.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to go ahead and bring back Light Rose for our final segment of the day. Why don't you tell us how you felt about that map, at least, and how you felt about that match? Because it's been a little while since we've seen you, and it was a crazy match, that one.
Yeah, I've been waiting it and just watching and hearing you guys and listening to everything, and it was very interesting to see. I think the Oregon map was honestly something that I wanted to ask you. Was Oregon map seems like such a tonal shift from what we saw in Villa. You know, Villa, it came pretty close. We saw each side kind of pave their way towards victory, but then in the side of Oregon, it really just came all the way through, and it seemed like just one team was absolutely able to dominate. And I really want to know why it was like that for GUGUDOLLS. Links, I don't, if you can give me some indication on why you think that Oregon was just so much stronger. Was it possibly that, you know, Oregon is that tried and true while Chalet is the newer map?
I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't anything super special. It wasn't some little one thing in the bag of tricks that GUGUDOLLS managed to pull out. It wasn't some cheese strat, wasn't some operator. At the end of the day, as a unit, they just looked comfortable and really well practiced on Oregon. And it's not the flashiest answer, but I genuinely think that's why GUGUDOLLS managed to pull through. On their attacks, they looked outstanding. And ending at a 6-0 half, you have to be outstanding if you're going to win Oregon in that way. Or ending a 6-0 half in general. That's what you need to be. But it just, GUGUDOLLS looked like the better map. Trap Queens, they didn't look lost. They looked like they had some idea of what they were doing, but they were making mistakes that would never go uncapitalized by GUGUDOLLS, and they just seemed to be the better team on this map. Both teams seem to be the better team on their map pick, playing it much better. It just so happens that GUGUDOLLS, we had that tonal shift on Oregon where they just seemed lights out.
Yeah, booming a team so like that, just that 6-0 can really kind of impact you a lot. I think the Trap Queens did a really good job bouncing back on Consulate. And look, Consulate kind of, you know, it was that make or break. We're really close to really finishing it off in overtime, but we just didn't get there. Why do you think GUGUDOLLS was really able to finish it out and we didn't see an even tighter match between Trap Queens?
I feel like GUGUDOLLS more often than not were set up very well for the refrag, especially during the latter half or the latter quarter of that match. They were set up very well for refrags. They were, I mean, it felt like they were playing a lot better as a team. They were able to take out the big fraggers of Trap Queens early on. Daddy Satan, Alexis K. I mean, they really didn't get to see a whole lot of play because they were playing the more aggressive roles on the defense. And more often than not, those aggressive roles were taken out pretty quickly. And unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Or they were just bypassing them entirely. So I feel like GUGUDOLLS were able to come out on top simply just due to the fact that they were able to work a little bit better in tandem. They were also able to keep their momentum going from the early round into the late round. They started out strong and just kept on going time and time again.